All right. Doing it as we do. When we do this, at least. Dropping into the frame. Dante, what's up, brother? Welcome, y'all. My name is Evan Strong, the founder of In the Image Clothing Company. Today is the 2nd of January, 2026. This is episode 199 of In the Image Clothing Company podcast. The title of this episode is Take a Deep Dive. We're going to really get into it in this, so hang out, okay? Yeah, Dante, can I serenade you with an out-of-tune guitar? Yeah. It's out of tune. Listen to this. Huh, interesting. Let's keep going. For the sake of why not. I think we'll leave it right there. I like that. You know, as far as a little intro with Red the guitar, little Johnson JG610R, 3/4 size with nylon strings because I'm Evan Strong and I do crazy things with nylon strings, as I've said, Dante's a good boy. That's something I've said as well many times. I think the point is, you know, I play guitar. And I like it because it started out really rough. Well, at least the first part of that, there was quite a bit of a part of that was pretty rough. But then, you know, throughout there was some beautiful stuff that I played. I just don't care what you think about me at all. Ah! Okay, so sorry, Dante. That was a little bit startling for your ears. He whipped his head around. Anyway, I don't care what you think about me, you know? I mean, condemn me for what I have said. Sure, I've said it. I can't change it, and neither can you. You're only judging which is God's role, not ours. You know, we have discussions on the gospel of Jesus Christ here under In the Image Clothing Company podcast. This is episode 199, man. We've been doing this for a while. Take a deep dive is the title. I mean, that's the big point, is take a deep dive. I don't care what you think or what you think or what you think you know, or I don't care, bro. I don't care. So stop it. Just stop trying to think you know who I am. Is something we can all say to each other. It doesn't matter what you think. It doesn't matter what you believe. Truth is truth. It doesn't matter what I believe or what I think. Truth is truth. Okay? Truth is apart from all of us. Another name for God is the truth. Jesus, the Christ. This is what I'm going to do. This is 1/4 of In the Image Clothing Company, by the way. There's 4 sides to us. We'll talk about them if and where we do throughout here. In the Image Clothing Company music is one of our 4ths. Okay? I do play guitar and well. But a lot of the time, I just don't even care. That's what I mean. I don't care what you think about me. I don't care what you care about. I don't care what I care about. I care about the will of God. Yikes. Prideful. Really? No, it's actually humble. Wow. Let's talk about this. That's weird because it's true. Well, we'll come back to a lot in this episode as far as the understanding of what I mean by take a deep dive. Is picture this. You've never been to the bottom of the ocean, but you wonder what's down there. You can have all the opinions, all the beliefs you want about what's at the bottom of the ocean, but if you never get to the bottom of the ocean, you'll never actually find out what's down there. You know? I mean, people can go down there and find out, but somebody who would have had to have gone down there. And how do we know that they're not just saying that it was what it was when maybe it wasn't? So maybe they were saying it was what it wasn't when really it was the truth of what it actually was. The point is, you know, we can have all of our beliefs, all of our opinions on things that we don't actually really know thoroughly, and that is pointless. People in our lives, we can have all the opinions and beliefs we want about who they are, and that is pointless. Things are only what they are. People are only who they are. We can't have an opinion on anything unless there's first something there to have an opinion on. That thing is the truth. We can't even believe in anything at all or believe against something at all unless we're first there to have the opportunity to have a belief. So where do you come from? Because you can't have an opinion on that because it happened before you were even able to have opinions. The bottom of the ocean is the bottom of the ocean. Regardless of it, if any human being ever got there to find out what it really was, as long as there's a bottom to the ocean, and even that, how would any of us know if none of us got there? But if there is a bottom to the ocean, there's a bottom to it. You know, at like its deepest point, let's say, you know. The Mariana Trench, I'm pretty sure that is the deepest part of the ocean that we know about, at least as human beings. Wherever it is, though, right? It doesn't matter. Because even that, who knows? Who knows, unless you've been there. You can have all your opinions on it, and you can have your beliefs about what it might be, what's down there, or if there is no bottom to the ocean. Maybe it just goes on forever, and there's no center to the earth. Maybe the earth is flat and it's not a globe. But how do you know personally if you've never been actually all the way around the globe? The point is, you'll never know anything. You can have all the beliefs you want on whatever you want, all the opinions you can want on whatever you want, but if you don't know it, you don't know it. Until you take a deep dive. If you personally take a deep dive to the bottom of the ocean, then you can personally know what you find at the bottom of the ocean. Because what's there is there, regardless of if you take a deep dive to find out or not. Your deep dive doesn't change what's at the bottom of the ocean. Your deep dive brings the truth to light in your own personal experience of what's at the bottom of the ocean. And it was there before you could even ever choose to have an opinion on it or not. Or choose to believe that there is a bottom to the ocean or not. There still either is or there isn't, and it's just there. Okay, there's an episode of In the Image Clothing Company podcast titled, You Don't Need to Believe in God. And you don't. And this is a podcast where we, under In the Image Clothing Company podcast here, have discussions on God, on Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ is God, is another episode title of In the Image Clothing Company podcast. Jesus Christ, or God himself, that's just the name for God, because otherwise how could we know, right? The universe has a name is another episode title of In the Image Clothing Company podcast, because a lot of things are so universal until you find out that they are not. So then they never were. Things either are or they aren't. God is the same. A name for God is the truth. Jesus Christ himself is the truth, the way, and the life. God's the same yesterday, today, and forever, because if he was ever something, he's always that thing. If there's a bottom to the ocean, there's a bottom to the ocean. Even if somebody at one point had an opinion that there was, and then somebody else had a differing opinion at a different time that they thought that there wasn't. There still just is what there is. Truth is truth. None of us designed the earth. None of us designed our bodies. There's only one way the human body could ever work. On the main side of In the Image Clothing Company, that's what we do. We're designed in the image of God, Jesus Christ himself. And so our bodies have things that clothe them, even glasses or jewelry. Anything that clothes the human being has to be placed onto the human being. The only way the human being works, with its center line, the sternum, the spine, the trachea, the nose, and our jaw, stabilizing the entire body on Earth's center of gravity. You can have all the opinions you want on gravity until you take a deep dive into what it really is and realize you can't have a say over it. It was there before you ever existed in your current human being state to even have an opinion on it or not. We just need to take a deep dive in life to find out what life really is. All right? There is only one way the human body could ever work, for example. And you just have your opinions if you have your opinions, but it's nothing I could ever take credit for when we discuss the anatomy of the human body in depth and how to, quote, allowing the body to work, unquote, right? How to allow the body to work. That's our slogan on the main side of In the Image Clothing Company. That's the point. It's the only thing that we have. An episode title of In the Image Clothing Company podcast. The only thing that we have. The human body. Everything else can come and it can go. But where's it coming to and where's it leaving from? You as your human body. In this physical life, your physical body is all you've been promised by God. And it's a gift. Okay? So, there you go. No opinion. I mean, that's what we do. We try to keep all our opinions out of everything in life. Because of what I'm saying. I mean, the bottom of the ocean's the bottom of the ocean no matter what. You can have all your opinions, but until you take a deep dive to find the truth of what's actually down there, your opinions don't actually mean anything to yourself or others. They're actually only damaging to yourself and others, unless they're aligning with the truth of what's actually down there at the bottom of the ocean after you take that deep dive. People in life, a lot of people think a lot of people are not what the people are. And we're only who we are. We're only what we are. We can't decide who we are. We didn't design ourselves. We didn't design it. We can't decide it is an episode title of In the Image Clothing Company podcast. The earth, physics, mathematics, things that were always here and always will be, at least apart from us. We have no say. We have no say. An episode title of In the Image Clothing Company podcast. Okay. We're on episode 199, brother. We've been doing this quite some time. In the Image Clothing Company has been In the Image Clothing Company for 15 months. We date mark things by verbally saying the dates and what we make. Okay. Congruency. We have been the same since the very founding and always will be. So the point is really with the point that I'm making here is, I started this off and I played the guitar a little bit and I said, I don't care who you think I am or what you think about me. I don't care what kind of opinions you want to create. I'm only who I am. You're only who you are. We're all only who we are, and we can take a deep dive and find out who a human being actually is. Or you can believe there's someone that they are not. And we're only lying to ourselves and God. God is the all-knowing. God is the truth. God is the all-searching eye. God knows everything from the beginning and the end before it ever happened. He designed it. He is it. He's the great... I said it, but the great I am. He's the greatest of greats. He's the king of kings. He's the king before there were kings to be. He's the unchanging. Kings come up and kings fall out of their reign. Oh, man. You can just take all the deep dives you want in life, and then you'll find out what the truth is. I mean, the earth, there's so many people nowadays that think the earth is actually flat still in modern 2025, and we have so many ways to actually prove that the earth is a globe. But it's just what it is, man. You can believe whatever you want. You're damaging yourself. Episode 198 of In the Image Clothing Company podcast is titled Damning Yourself. If you deny truth, you're damning yourself the way you dam a river when it's flowing and you put something in its way to block it. Like a dam in a river, okay? Damming the progression, damming the flow, stopping yourself. God won't do that to you or I. He doesn't go against his word, and he tells us who he is. That's why we quote read the Word of God, unquote, an episode title of In the Image Clothing Company podcast. But the big thing is, there's a lot of big things. Oh, shoot. It's such a big episode. I don't care. I mean, think whatever you want about me, but unless you take a deep dive and find out who I truly am, you can have all the opinions and beliefs about who I am, how I'm doing things, how I live my life, and why, what kind of points I'm trying to prove, who I think I'm better than, or what I think I know more than you. Or if you think I have an opinion that I'm trying to push on humans that are not me, then the answer is no. I don't want my own opinions for my own self. I want the will of Jesus Christ, God in the flesh, and that's it. It's just absurd, You can think whatever you want about anyone or anything you ever want to try to conjure up in your mind as a belief or an opinion. Truth is truth. If you take a deep dive into whatever it is you have an opinion on, you'll find the truth of it. And find out that your opinion didn't matter. You can believe all you want. There's anything that you want to believe at the bottom of the ocean, and you can have the strongest belief about it until you're blue in the face and you fall over onto the earth and just about die. And, it doesn't matter what your belief is or what your opinions are about what could be at the bottom of the ocean. Let's say you do actually take a literal deep dive to the bottom of the ocean and you find out what's actually there and just has been, regardless of if you had a belief or an opinion on it. Well, then it's there, regardless of if you ever had a belief or opinion on it. You take a deep dive in life and you find the thing that always remains, which is the truth, which is another name for God. God, being the same yesterday, today, and forever, is the same as what's at the bottom of the ocean, yesterday, today, and forever. It doesn't matter if you're looking for it, or if your grandparents were, or your great-grandkids are. It doesn't matter who. Truth is truth. No human being could get to decide. And that's why earlier I said, prideful? No, it's actually humble. When we try to put ourselves aside and get to God in all our ways that we can, we're imperfect, but doing that to the best of our abilities, no matter how stern we are, right? The wicked take the truth to be harsh. And our opinions are wicked. Our beliefs are wicked. Truth is truth. Truth is God. God is perfect. God is the great I am. And I am who I am, regardless of any belief or opinion you could have on me. So it's what I say, right? Under In the Image Clothing Company, I say, and me, Evan Strong, as the founder of In the Image Clothing Company, and the founder, the way that I word it, really means the leader of In the Image Clothing Company for life, as well as the one founding this since the beginning of it. Okay? What we have is often me yelling, sure. Yeah, that does happen. But I say, if you've got a problem with us, and really that includes me, if we're discussing In the Image Clothing Company, because me, Evan Strong, I am the founder, and as I said, the leader of this for my entire lifetime. So is Dante. Until one of us die. We're both in our lives together. Okay, each other's lives. Dante's my dog. Dante's my standard poodle. Okay, for those of you in audio only, I guess, that's a good point. At the beginning of this, you can see in visual plus audio, Dante, my apricot standard poodle. He's about 20 inches tall at the withers. He's beautiful. We have 1/4 of us in the Image Clothing Company that is In the Image Clothing Company poodles. We let dogs stay natural. We give information that applies to all dogs. The same thing we do with the human body, with allowing the body to work through anything clothing the dogs, like collars, leashes, or harnesses, but eating, sleeping, standing, walking, sitting, breathing, hydration, everything we do as human beings and dogs, we discuss doing things naturally, okay? The goal is natural on all 4 sides of In the Image Clothing Company. Natural is the only thing that exists. There's a lot of man-made things in modern day that are just decades old as of today's date, the 2nd of January, 2026. Stretch in clothing, unnatural, synthetic, artificial materials that we just interact with, that our clothing is made out of, that's placed directly on us. Things in our food that are similar. These are just words that are synonyms with fake, okay? Synthetic, artificial, unnatural, things like that. It's just fake. Natural is the opposite of fake. Natural is a synonym with real, in a sense. Blunt, bold, raw, and real in the Image Clothing Company, as we say. We do it as we do it. And that's how we do it. The point is, man, if you've got a problem with us, stick around. That's what I say. Deeper context brings deeper understandings. So what I mean by that, when I say that, is take a deep dive, okay? Because as I have said, and it will only continue to deepen, we have deep, deep, deep context. We have so much that we do under the gift of video under In the Image Clothing Company and all four sides. That's a huge part of what we always will be. That's why we call it a gift. It's permanent. As opposed to a lot of other ways we could approach anything in life. Video is amazing. It's truly a gift. Okay. So, what we have is hundreds and hundreds, right around 1,000 videos as of today's date, the 2nd of January, 2026, on all four sides of In the Image Clothing Company combined. So that's what I say. We discuss things, and sure, I say stretch is damaging to the body. And it might sound like an opinion. It might sound like a belief. It might sound like I have some new approach to something. It's the truth. It's been the truth since always. The human being's been the same since God. He had to first look like us to design us in his image. That's where the first three of our 5-word company name come from. In the Image Clothing Company, right? All that we do on all four sides of In the Image Clothing Company come to our 5-word name. Our 5-word name is an episode title of In the Image Clothing Company podcast. Anyway, no spaces, but those 5 words together, okay? In the Image Clothing Company. If you stretch the body, well, there's 2 sides to every function. There's opposition in all things. You can't stretch to one side and benefit from it. It's physically impossible. The human body is just mechanics. A video Dante and I filmed about a week and a half ago, give or take from today's date back. Today's the 2nd of January, 2026. The point is, there's opposition in everything. There's only light because there's dark. There's only warm because there's cold. There's only internal rotation in the body because there's external rotation in the body, in the forearms, in the entire arms, in the lower legs, and in the entire legs. There's only a neutral between that, and that's the resting state. You can't move to one side and the other unless the center is the in-between. There's a center to Earth's gravity. That's the in-between, and that's how we rest, is just having gravity pull on us. With our arms straight down at our sides, the fingertips are the shoulder socket, capsule, joint. There's only one way the human body could ever work, so we discuss it. We give free modifications in clothing and allow the human body to work, and it's undisputed. We just don't know what we don't know. We can't be held accountable for what we don't know. Yeah, human being clothing and dog products and whatever else we branch out into on InTheImageClothingCompany.com going forth, just with proper intent, staying centered, fitting correct where we discuss it needs to fit because we understand the functionality of the human body, no opinion anyone could ever have, no new information, and being made in all the ways we can from 100% natural materials, right? So the point is, you can have all the problems you want with us. Take a deep dive, though, Because if you want to know what's actually true, if you really do what it means to take a deep dive enough to find out what's actually true, you'll find out what's actually true. And if not, you can sit in your beliefs and your opinions and never actually know anything. Because opinions and beliefs are made up as a perception on something as it already is, right? So we take a deep dive, It's like this, you've got a problem with people's ideas of what they think could be at the bottom of the ocean, then stick around those that dive to the bottom of the ocean. And you'll gain deeper context, and you have a deeper understanding of what's at the bottom of the ocean. It's just the literal phrasing of take a deep dive. The gospel of Jesus Christ, words only mean what words mean. Another name for God is the Word. Like I said earlier, read the Word of God. That just means read scriptures, the Book of Mormon, the Holy Bible. We read scriptures, we're based around the gospel of Jesus Christ on all four sides of In the Image Clothing Company, and specifically the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. So now here we go. You got all sorts of people all over the planet and off of it, maybe in a space station somewhere or whatever, having opinions on what the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints is, formerly known as Mormons. Oh, spooky, huh? You can have all the opinions you want, but if you don't take a deep dive into the source, you'll never find out what the thing actually is. I mean, you can take a deep dive into other human beings' resources, sure, but research of what's at the bottom of the ocean. But unless you personally take a deep dive to the bottom of the ocean, other people's opinions might be something that you have an opinion on. You got to get to the real thing. You got to get to the source. It's like a human being. You can ask so many other human beings what one human being is or who that one human being is, and you're wrong because they're all wrong if it's an opinion. But you can go to that actual human being and take a deep dive into them and find out who they actually truly are. That's the only way you'll do it. It's a personal thing. It's a personal relationship with God. Life, because God is the truth, and we want to know the truth, or we're just lying to ourselves and others, ourselves and God. There's only truth. So what you can do is take a deep dive. If you've got an opinion on what the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints is, well, so does just about everybody else who's ever heard about it. It doesn't matter who has an opinion on it. The second time around is an episode title of In the Image Clothing Company podcast. I got baptized twice because I personally had an opinion on what the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints was. I asked for my records to be removed, and I went about 13 months not being a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And then I found out the truth about it by taking a deep dive, and I actually read the Book of Mormon all the way through. Dante sighs. That's what it was, is a sigh of relief. Then I got rebaptized because my opinions on what I thought the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints were clouding the truth of what it was, even if I never had an opinion on it. Doesn't change the truth of what it is. Because now I could say that I have such a strong opinion toward the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints in an amazing way. I have a good opinion about it. That doesn't matter. What's the truth of it? The truth of it never changed, regardless of what end my opinions on it were, or could be going forth, or now, right? No, it doesn't matter. Because the same yesterday, today, and forever is the same yesterday, today, and forever. It's the same forever, today, and yesterday. It's the same on both ends, either end. It's all the same. God is. And that's it. He is. God is, and he never changes. God is God. Truth is truth. Jesus Christ is God. The point is, you know, you can have all the beliefs and opinions you want, but if you look into people who want to actually find out the truth of what the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints is, there's just about nobody who could ever possibly do that and take take the deepest dive they possibly could to even try to discredit the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. If you take the deepest dive you possibly could, there's just about nobody else. There's really no one out there that does that doesn't find out that the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints is truth. That might not even make sense to you, how a church is truth. You know, a lot of people think that you go to a church to have a belief. That is false. Well, I mean, you go to any church and believe anything you want. Or you can believe anything you want about church and never go. You see what I mean? It's like, there's only truth to life. It doesn't matter if you're religious or not. I'm not religious. I know, and don't even ask me how, unless you want to really know how, then you don't need to ask me how. And that's something you'll find out if you take a deep dive. But don't even ask me how I know the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints is true, and what that even means, but find out for yourself what is true. I mean, what does it mean for something to be true? Well, what does it mean to find out what's actually at the bottom of the ocean? You go to it and you find out. You can have anyone telling you anything about what's down there, and they could all be wrong. So who's really right then? An episode title of In the Image Clothing Company podcast. Nobody but God is always true. Okay. Believe it or not, don't. An episode title of In the Image Clothing Company podcast. You don't have to believe in anything. Things are still there. I say it like this, you know, there's so many people out there that don't have any beliefs, and they still exist. You know, you can believe you came from wherever you want. It doesn't change from where you came from. What about the people who don't believe they ever even began or something, you know? Or like, right? Or they don't have a belief at all. They're still there. There's still truth, and the truth is they're just a human being. It just is what it is. There's no opinion to anything that ever could possibly matter. And the wicked take the truth to be harsh, because a lot of times we attach ourselves to beliefs and we want to cling on to our opinions. And that's damaging. There's only truth, you know? That's it. I'm not trying to tell you something like you need to believe me. I say it so often. I mean, that's a very common theme under In the Image Clothing Company is I say that phrase, don't believe me. Evan Strong, the founder of In the Image Clothing Company, don't believe anybody at In the Image Clothing Company's team, any of our human being team members or any of our poodle team members like Dante here. But truth is truth. We can just relay truth. We can be a deliverer of truth, and we don't ever get to decide it or change it. That's impossible. I don't get to decide what's at the bottom of the ocean or change it. I mean, I guess I could go drop something down there. But then what's down there is still down there because it's down there. I was just the one that dropped it down there. Just like truth is still truth. I'm just the one that delivered it. You know, you just delivered something to the bottom of the ocean. So the truth is it's there if it landed there. Right? No opinion's going to change that. Shoot. You know, you can go dive down there to retrieve it, but then you know the truth that it is there until it gets moved out of there. And then the truth is it's just not there now because it's been moved. But the truth is still the truth. The situation changed. Like, do you see what I mean? It's like, there's only truth to life, always and forever. Before I was born, I don't have any kind of information that I could choose. It matters. It doesn't matter, dude. I don't matter, dude. I mean, in the grand scheme of things, unless I'm pointing myself and others to God, who always remains. What I'm saying is, you know, you can believe whatever you want. Well, this is all what I'm saying. It's not like I'm trying to get to some other point or topic. These are just all points of this. That's the thing. There's just only a point to life, or what's the point of life? Well, there's truth to it. Okay. The truth is you were born, if nothing else. You can believe you weren't, but you're right there. You know, you're the one having the belief. You had to be born to be able to have a belief in the form of a human being. There's only truth, by the way. You know, that's it. Ever, always, that's it. That's it. His name is Jesus Christ, the truth. God is who Jesus Christ is. Don't believe me though, but it's truth. The point is, yeah, you don't hear it. I mean, people don't do all they possibly could to take the deepest dive they possibly could into the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints and then not think it's true after that. That doesn't happen. Because it's true. It's like you going down to the bottom of the ocean and then seeing it for yourself, touching it with your own hands and choosing to not believe it is what it is. You can believe whatever you want, but you touched it, you saw it, you know? But this is the thing, is there's so many human beings on the planet, and I'm almost certainly going to be one of them. By the time I die, I will not be going to the bottom of the ocean. Okay? But no matter if you ever go to the bottom of the ocean before you die or not, what's down there is still down there, even if you never personally see it yourself. It's still true, right? It's still there. If it's there, well, like I said earlier, the episode title of In the Image Clothing Company podcast, you don't need to believe in God, but you don't. He's still there regardless. You don't even need to believe there's a bottom to the ocean. If there is, though, there is. It's just the earth. It was here before you were born onto it. There's only truth to life, ever. That's it. No opinion to ever have to change truth. Your opinions are on the truth that doesn't change. So yeah, I mean, that's a lot of people's problems, you know, is, well, I'll believe it once I see it. Well, don't ever believe anything, and there's a lot you won't see in this life. but you're still here. You know, people have said, seeing is believing or believing is seeing. And how about just don't believe at all? What if you're blind? And you don't really have any beliefs? Do you just not exist? Do you see what I'm saying? You got to take a deep dive into what life truly is. Not what you could believe life to be. You'll dive yourself to hell with your beliefs. As would I, if I had beliefs, as I have in the past, when I had beliefs. I mean, the word believe, we have this phrasing, make believe. People can make you believe in anything. Or you make something up, and now it's make believe, Truth is truth. You can't say beliefs are beliefs because beliefs change. But truth doesn't change. The bottom of the ocean is the bottom of the ocean. That's the truth. Maybe, you could believe it's something, but your belief on it changed. Your beliefs changed. The truth didn't. Okay? The thing is, you go your entire life never seeing the bottom of the ocean. Well, great. It's still there. As long as it is, It's got to be, right? Water just kind of sits on top of something else. There's got to be a bottom to the ocean unless there's just infinite water going down with Earth's gravity, It's strange that there's only truth to life. A strange and peculiar people we're called in the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, in the Gospel of Jesus Christ, in the Holy Bible, in the Word of God. A strange and peculiar people. Disciples or followers of Jesus Christ, who is God. Yeah, because it's strange to realize no matter if you see something ever or if you never see that thing, it's still what it is. What about God? Maybe you never see... I love the way I ask it like that, because it's let's just throw out a random question. What about God? You never see him face to face in your life, let's say. Here in this earthly life, you never actually see God, the being, as the man he is, Jesus Christ, face to face. Well, do you still believe or do you not believe that God is there? Or does it matter if you believe it at all? You're probably never going to see the bottom of the ocean in your life. Does it matter if you believe anything about it? Because regardless, it just is there. There's a bottom to the ocean. I'm going to tell you that. Don't believe me. But there's a bottom to the ocean. The very bottommost point, there just is. But don't believe me. It's like what I say, God is there, and he's here, and he's now, and he's always, and he's eternal, and he's infinite, and he's almighty. But don't believe me. It's like, well, I've never seen him face to face. You ever seen you ever been to Croatia? You ever seen that part of the earth face to face? You ever been to Scandinavia? You ever stepped foot on the Antarctic continent of... You know what I mean? Is it still there? You take a deep dive, though. You get yourself over there and figure it out. It's like, have all the opinions and beliefs you want. Oh, I don't believe that Russia is actually there. The continent of Africa. I've never seen it. I don't believe it. Someone's saying these things, let's say, hypothetically. Well, sure, I don't believe it. It's there if it's there. It's not your choice. You can take yourself a little deep dive in an aeroplane and go across the ocean and find out for yourself. But if you never do that, it's still there if it's there. Okay? It's like what I was saying about human beings. Using myself as an example for this right now, because I'm the one speaking. We do things out of personal experience, trial and error, prayer and revelation. Under In the Image Clothing Company, we preach what we have practiced, That's how we do things here. That's how we can be blunt, bold, raw, and real in the Image Clothing Company. Right? How to be bold, an episode title of In the Image Clothing Company podcast. Well, speak the truth in all the ways you can, being imperfect, There you go. The truth is the truth, even if you don't believe it. And the truth of who I am, as Evan Strong, is just the truth of who God, the great I am, created me to be. And I am only who I am. That's why God's name is I Am. because he is. Before any opinions or beliefs could come, and after any beliefs or opinions could come, God is. And always. Okay. So the whole thing is, if you want to know who I really am as Evan Strong, you can have an opinion, or you can have a belief. You can go ask other human beings on what their opinions or their beliefs are, gathering all your research outside of the actual thing that is me. Or you can come to Evan Strong personally and take a deep dive into me and find out the truth. Because I'm me, even if nobody else ever knew me, had an opinion or perception on who I was. But I'm still me if every human being on the earth knew to some degree something about me, whether it was or wasn't true. Okay, you can take a deep dive anywhere you want besides the actual thing you're trying to find out, and it doesn't matter. You take a deep dive into the actual thing, and there you go. Take a deep dive. Take a deep dive. Take a deep dive. I mean, you can wonder what's at the bottom of the ocean. And you can take a deep dive into researching ponds and lakes and rivers, swamps, wetlands, to try to get a good idea of what you think or could believe about the bottom of the ocean. Well, the bottom of the ocean is the bottom of the ocean. The bottom of the ocean is not a pond, or it would be the bottom of the ocean. Weird. The bottom of the ocean is not a lake, or it would be the bottom of the ocean. The bottom of the ocean is not somebody's opinion on the pond. Or no, it would just be called the bottom of the ocean. The bottom of the ocean is not somebody's belief on the lake, or it would just be called the bottom of the ocean. There's only truth. Words only mean what words mean. If we're trying to find out what the bottom of the ocean is, we go to what I heard the bottom of the ocean. What is that? Oh, well, it's the big water on the planet, and you go to the very lowest point. That's what we call the bottom of the ocean. So I'm not going to find that looking through other people's opinions. No, you'll find the bottom of the ocean at the bottom of the ocean. That's where you'll find the bottom of the ocean. Okay? The only place that it actually is. You don't have to believe in it, but you can go to the bottom of the ocean if you have the ability to, and it'll be there if it's there. If not, it won't. This is God. Meaning, this is the truth. The truth is God. God doesn't change. God is mathematics. God is the same yesterday, today, and forever. God is, and always. It's like me. I mean, I am who I am right now. We can take a poll and ask 4,000 different human beings who Evan Strong is right now. They're all wrong. Because what they're telling you is an opinion on what they have about who I am. Even if what they're saying to you is actually correct about who I am, that's not who I am. I am who I am. You heard somebody try to explain to you who I was, and maybe what they said was correct, but that's not who I am. That's their explanation of who I am, and maybe it lined up. That's like, me giving information and explanations on who God is. That's not God. That's the explanation of God. But God is the truth, and so anything that I'm saying that aligns with truth is God, or it's at least aligning with the truth that is God. There's only truth. You can go to the bottom of the ocean, and then you can know what it actually is. Otherwise, it doesn't matter. I mean, that's what's so funny about it. It doesn't even matter. I don't care. I'll never go visit Thailand, almost certainly. I don't think I'm ever going to leave Utah. I'm joking about that. But we live up Utah under In The Image Clothing Company for the sake of the nature and the diversity of that. It's so beautiful. Dante and I will be moving down to St. George, Utah as soon as we can, as of today's date, the 2nd of January, 2026. St. George, Utah is the southernmost part of Utah. It's a true desert. Red rock and sandstone. Beautiful. Okay. Barren wasteland in a sense, but it's amazing. This church history, though. Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints history, a lot of it's in Utah. The state of Utah here, the United States of America. That's a lot of reason why we live up Utah, as in the Image Clothing Company. But I just mean, I don't think I'll ever leave, very far from where I currently am on the earth to go visit all the other places that are on the earth. And so, does that mean those places aren't actually there if I don't personally take a deep dive? Well, it doesn't really matter to me. I don't care. I mean, it just doesn't matter. I don't. It's not going to change my life, really, personally. Uh, if I even know or not. But the thing about God is, He is the truth, and that changes your life. Anytime you had a dispute and you did something and somebody says you didn't, or you didn't do something that somebody's trying to pin on you, well, what actually happened is what actually happened, and that's the truth. And so that's God is the point. The unchanging thing, when all the opinions are, no, it happened like this, and then they'll say something different next week. Well, actually, no. See, I thought that it was that, but I had an opinion, and it changed, and it was actually like this. That's also an opinion. The truth of what actually happened is always just the truth of what actually happened, and nobody can change it. Just like how God is the same yesterday, today, and forever, and nobody can change, let's say it. Calling God it, because God is it. And that's it. That's what I'm saying. There's only truth to life. There's no opinion. There's no religion. There's no belief to life. There's truth. There's the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, where we can go to get to the truth that is God, whose name is Jesus Christ. There's only truth, though, to life. I say it so bold, like this. Take your opinions and throw them in a garbage disposal, or chuck them in a trash can and set it on fire, and do a few extra steps too to make sure it's just like disintegrated, because matter cannot be created or destroyed, and so it's all just there anyway. That's what I mean. Well, anyway, that's funny. It's just truth. But take a deep dive. You don't want to believe that everything out there is just made up of the same thing. It's all made up of atoms. Whew. I'm looking at this thing, and it looks so different than this thing, and this thing looks different than that thing, and that thing looks so different than the thing I saw last week, and why is it all so different? How could it possibly seem so different if you're telling me that everything on a very, 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 very small little microscopic level is made up of atoms and it's all the same thing? What is that supposed to mean? I can't believe it. Well, then don't. Don't believe it! Doesn't matter if you believe it or not, you're still alive, just live, it's just what it is. It's like God. It doesn't matter if you believe in God, He's just who He is. Accept it, accept that everything's just made up of atoms, because if that's the truth, that's the truth. Accept that God's just there because God is the truth. That's all you ever want anyway. What do you want is an episode title of In the Image Clothing Company podcast. All we want is truth. No matter if you even know that that's the case or not, that's the truth. That's all you want is truth. That's it. Me too. That's it. It's God. All we want is God. If you have Jesus Christ and that's all you have, you'll realize you don't need anything else. That's what people say. That's the truth. Because God is the truth. If you have the truth, you don't need anything else. You have all these beliefs and opinions on what you could want, but the truth is you only need what you need. Oh, I have everything. God provides. With a perfect shepherd, a good shepherd, we lack no good things. We're just the sheep of God. Lost sometimes, and He leaves the 99 out of the 100 who never went astray to find the one who did, and to bring him back to the fold. Bring her back to the fold. Me adopting Dante. It's a Dante dog. At 2 years old, I adopted little Dante dog. Give or take 2 years. Probably coming up right on 2 years old. Right. 2 weeks ago, right around 2.5 weeks ago, as of today's date, the 22nd of January, 2026, I adopted Dante. I brought him back into the fold of God. I mean, that's not even a joke. Dante's a whole new dog, man. I've done so much physically to Dante. I'm the founder of In the Image Clothing Company. We discuss the physical anatomy and the mechanics of the bodies of dogs and human beings, and just really most all animals. Our information on letting dogs stay natural under In the Image Clothing Company Poodles applies to really most all animals across the earth, and some things very direct, like pack mules or horses with halters and things, similar to just like collars or slip leads, harnesses, stuff like this, halters, if you will, on dogs, right? Anyway. Same with just feeding and just, breeding properly, purebred dogs. We put importance on for the health of dogs, under In the Image Clothing Company Poodles. This stuff applies to most all animals across the earth, by the way. We're doing big things here, by the way. There's only truth to life, by the way. John, by the way, he's a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. He speaks some powerful words of God. He relays the truth of God. See what I mean? It's not even his words, it's God's words. That's what I say. God has given me the gift to speak. God gives us many gifts, and He gives us personal gifts that are different than other people have. And really the biggest gift God has given me personally is the ability to speak. I don't have to convince you of something to try to believe, but we're on episode 199 of In the Image Clothing Company podcast, as one of the fourths of In the Image Clothing Company, where we do so much under the gift of video. I've spoken so many times. We make a lot of music too, dude, and that's just the way we do it. So you can go listen to it if you want to think it is not true. Who are you kidding? I don't know. I mean, I do some lyricism like this. I don't know. What do we play? Making lots of music as we do it with the lyricism. Is it crazy or is it just something that I'm hearing when it's just a bunch of wind noise? I don't gotta listen cause it's just my choice. Got agency, I'm taking things to the extremes. I'm doing things crazy like I need to be going in a different kind of key with the guitar. It's hardly a thing we all see if we're not looking for the truth in life. And there's truth to life is true, and I'm not telling you something you should believe. I think that we need a little less beliefs. I think that I could be from A, B, C, and then to the D. I've been doing things like I'm just counting up 3 out of 4th, and now sure we got 4 sides to In the Image Clothing Company. I will not hide, trying to do the best thing I can and doing everything I can, man. Doing what I can to do what I can, trying to improve. I'm trying to do some things for me, some things for you, some things, lyricism. Are you hearing it? Lyricism. I'm a lyricist. Been making music as I do it. I'm improving. I'm just moving to Jesus the Christ. Thinking that we might have a different kind of life is not the kind of life that we're living. Am I right? I think I am right. But so who's really right then? I am. But not me, Jesus the Christ. I think that we like to do things right in life, but how will I know if I'm turning left and right? I'm left and I'm just left in the past again. I'm passing them like I'm just back to the pasture. Man, you're past your expiration date and you think you're late. Looking for the kind of place that you can drink from the lake. Trying to find what's at the bottom of the ocean. You're going, and did I mention you're a sheep? Trying to do some things, trying to follow the creator of all the things. I think that we all believe in things that seem to be so false when we get down to the truth. So we preach it to the youth for them to be doing what they do. Everybody's gotta understand what it is true, because otherwise we're living in lives. We're living in our lives and our wives and our husbands. Am I right? Everyone's trying to find what's going on, and you're going on too long with the wrong kind of a belief that you got upon some things, and things are only what the things are. I'm playing guitar and I told you I am good at it. I'm just call him self-proclaimed, call him what you think, call him whatever you want. And I think that you're on some kind of different kind of belief, some kind of different kind of belief. You got a lot of things, kind of different kind of belief. You kind of oh, something that we need is just to understand. We think that we are going to go and going to know. I think you don't know that you're not going to know what's going on in life. And I just think that we all need to find the truth. I've been doing this, dude. It's 15 months I've been in this, and I think that you are gonna miss what's really going on here if you are running a miss. You're just running a miss. You're running, trying to miss it. Are you in it? Are you out of it? You're now just this kind of person that you're searching to try to be, but you're not the person that I think that you are, but I think that you are something else. I don't care. I just want you to take a deep dive and try to find out who I am and see if this life is actually just what it is, even if I am just a kid or just an old man justifying that I want to be younger. Please, can I just, no, mathematics, actually, it's happened to me. I got older than I was when I was a teen, and watching the TV, looking at the screens, and everybody's trying to say whatever they think. Getting youthful, getting younger, everyone is just in some kind of crazy mindset that they are set on having their mindset, and they're gone. Their mindset took them off to a kind of place that they don't want to understand what the truth of life is. I think there's truth to life, kids, but no matter what I think there's truth to life, it's just, I don't even care. I don't even care. I don't even care. Sorry, did he really swear? And I don't even care. I don't even care. What does it mean to be a disciple of the man who made it all happen? Towering over each other like the Eiffel, I think that I'm just a person with a trifle. Got a lot of layers to me, I'm saying these things, I'm saying extremes is how I like to be taking it. Please don't get after me, I'm just after these people who have gone before. So sure, just make it a big old thing and try to think that you know what is up with me or the truth about me, but you don't take the truth about me. You take the truth about me and you make it something you want to believe, and I'm sorry that you're wrong, but I'm sorry you're wrong, and I'm sorry, but you're wrong. So just stop trying to have opinions on things, and all the beliefs can go down the sink, and try to find out what it is in life if you don't have a thing that you could even think. Take a deep dive, take a deep dive, take a deep dive, take a deep dive, man, take a deep dive. You say I've tried, but I'm trying to let you know that you're never out of time. Take a deep dive, take a deep dive, dive down with me and see if it gets tricky, doing things that you thought you would never be tripping over. Have a nice trip, and I'll see you next fall when all you think that you can do is crawl on the floor and you're getting all around. It's a one eternal round now. The seasons come around again, the earth is just a globe, and everything that we have is just like a strobe, it's just a light, just a flash, and it comes right back. It's like precipitation and evaporation, and the wrath of God is taken. It's taking you by storm. I mean, that's the thing. Believe all you want, but take a deep dive into why you can't change the weather. When you don't like that it's cold outside. This is episode 199 of In the Image Clothing Company podcast, titled Take a Deep Dive. I just think it's funny, I think a lot of people out there really don't think I'm that great of a musician because they have beliefs about it. But that was a freestyle entirely, off key, off tempo, where it was, sure, but I'm good with music. There's an episode of In the Image Clothing Company podcast titled I'm a Musician. There's an episode of In the Image Clothing Company podcast titled The Greatest Battle, and I discussed how playing guitar has been that for me. Not the ability to, but all that comes with it, like the warfare behind it, spiritual warfare. An episode title of In the Image Clothing Company podcast, okay. Yeah, bro, I've been working. Okay. I've been really working, by the way. And so that's what I mean is no matter what you think or believe, take a deep dive into who I really am, to what I'm really doing here. And that's really what episode 198, the one before this of In the Image Clothing Company, was about. When I said damning yourself, it's if you don't accept not just the words that I'm saying, because I'm saying things as the founder of In the Image Clothing Company, me, Evan Strong, but if you don't accept what we do say here that aligns with the truth of God, you're only damning yourself. Brushing over something because you don't want to believe it, or you have an opinion opposing it, if it's truth. It's like what I'm saying, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, it's the truth. It's the place we go to find the truth, really is what it is. It's just a man-made church as far as the organization, but it's governed and ran by God. And even that in itself is something you couldn't dispute if you take a deep dive. Just the way the church is laid out, the way that the church is structured and feeds into itself for the betterment and help of all those that serve God and for the glory of God. All things work together for the good of those that serve God. The point is, just take a deep dive. I mean, you can believe whatever you want, but if you're wrong, you're wrong. And if you're right, sometimes you're wrong. Sometimes it's the worst thing to do in life, to try to be right. What I'm saying is just, we take a deep dive. I love that idea, though, of the microscope. I also love how I can just randomly, play that deep and impactful and passionate of a piece of music that I've never even done before in my life. It was an entire freestyle. I didn't expect I was going to do it beforehand, and then afterward, I just kind of like, oh, cool, we did it. That's what I mean. Life is just life. We can't get too excited over things. You can't get worked up over things, like hyped up on something that's just what it is, even if it's like the greatest thing of your life. We just have to be accepting and content with life. There's this underlying joy that Jesus Christ brings, and that's the only way it comes. True, lasting, eternal joy that's not conditional. Pure love is another name for God. Unconditional love. Doesn't matter how good of a piece of music you play or how well you word something. You get your validation from God. Really, the reason I'm saying that right now, I mean, that's just, a good piece of truth to deliver, but I mean, that was a big freestyle, it was deep and impactful and done very well. If I'm saying it, I'm the one that did it, but it's just kind of like, cool, that was great. Thank you, Father in heaven. God, let's move on to what you have for me now. It's always only now. And that's how we'll ever, well, that's the only way we'll ever be content. If you get so caught up on something like it was your best work ever, then you don't believe you could ever make anything better than that. Just be accepting of things, just kind of be content with life. It's just life, bro. What I'm saying is, taking a deep dive, when I was discussing earlier that everything's just made up of atoms, I don't understand that, but we have to understand that we'll never understand everything in this life. There's just too much to know, and you wouldn't want to anyway. There's a lot that's better to not know in this life than to ever possibly try to learn about. Okay? But I will say this about the atoms. Man, it's so interesting to say that, because that's the truth. Yeah, I mean, it's so much better to just not know so many things that you possibly could learn. There's just so many terrible things out there in the man-made world placed onto God's natural earth, Anyway, we show sizing and setup of guitar on In The Image Clothing Company music to not alter things like the neutral wrist and that natural rounding in our hands that correlates with the arches in our feet. In The Image Clothing Company shoelace technique is the only way the top of the human feet are shaped. It's one of our 2 prerequisites in addition to where we discuss clothing sits under In The Image Clothing Company. The second prerequisite being removing all tags from clothing, which are only decades old or tens of years old as of today's date, the 2nd of January 2026. Anyway, tags are either causing a physical gap in clothing, changing the body's only working position, and or just not allowing musculature to activate. The human body can only ever work activated as a whole. It's all there with its own individual role to play. No compensation can be had for something not playing its role because everything has a different role to play. We have different length toes, for example, that we roll evenly off the end of. Okay, hint, hint. Just meaning, yeah, In The Image Clothing Company's shoelace technique, We have different length toes, by the way. The importance of zero drop shoes, a video under the main site of In The Image Clothing Company, but the term zero drop in shoes is just like having our feet flat on the earth, as if we never had man-made products that sometimes have, just things in them that alter our bodies, very commonly nowadays as well. So, stretch in clothing, it's just absurd, it's new. Just decades ago from today's date. Blended fabric, unnatural, synthetic, artificial materials. This is the point, you can not believe whatever you want about the whole earth not, being made of atoms. I don't care. What's ironic though is Adam is the name of the first man. I just thought about that. I don't know if I've ever thought about that. Adam was the name of the first man that God designed and breathed life into his nostrils. We talk about breath, breathing is the essence of human life, and there you go. Back to biblical times, the first man, God breathed life into the nostrils of the first man, Adam. And then his wife, Eve, was pulled from his rib. That's what it says in the Holy Bible, in the book of Genesis, the first book in the many books of the Holy Bible, man. The Old Testament and the New Testament, in the Holy Bible, man. There's many books in each book. within the book. There's only truth to life. Take a deep dive. There's a lot to it. But just don't learn things you don't need to know, you know? I mean, how are you going to know? Oh, how could you know? An episode title of In the Image Clothing Company podcast. Well, the Spirit of God that dwells within all things that are holy enough to let him dwell within. He's like, God knows everything, and he'll let you in on some secrets. Oh shoot! Seriously, the hidden mysteries of God. I mean, it's scriptural, doctrinal. The point is, read the Word of God. Otherwise, don't. And life is hard. But if you have a hard time to get access to it, do all you can, to learn who Jesus Christ is. He is your God, your Savior, your Redeemer, your Creator. He is, in all truth. You don't have to believe it, but where else did you come from? Try to explain it in a way that resonates with you, and it's not going to. Other than Jesus Christ, because it's the truth. That's what I mean. And the Spirit of Jesus Christ, living within inside of all of the things that he has created, you being one of them, will testify the truth of all things to you, right? It just does. You just know it. You've got that inner compass, right? North Star, an episode title of In the Image Clothing Company podcast, right? Just keep saying. Don't believe me, right? I am right, or am I not? Who's really right? It doesn't matter. Truth is truth. The truth is, though, taking a deep dive can be explained like this. Looking under a microscope at something that looks like what you think it is, and the deeper you dive into it through the lens of a microscope, amplifying it into a broader, well, we don't want to say broader because straight and narrow is the path that leads to eternal life. Broad is the way that leads to eternal damnation, fire, hell, and brimstone, Yeah. Destruction for eternity. Satan, the Antichrist, the devil. That's broad. But, that's the point. You narrow in by taking a deep dive. You get down to something very closely under a microscopic lens. And you can see that it's made up of atoms. You don't have to believe it, but you can take a really, 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 really deep dive into it, however many reallys you'd need to get to an atom. That's the first man. You can dive back into history and find out what really happened. Or you can believe something about it. Or have an opinion on it like you think you could decide. No, you can't decide. Nobody can. We didn't design it. We can't decide it. Okay? But we can take a deep dive into history, true credible sources, or take a deep dive into history. That can mean digging up the earth. You start to dig into the ground and you find things that have been there for so long and they're just there. They've been there. You dig through all that water to get down to the bottom of the ocean and it's just still there. You dig through all the stacked lenses of the microscope and at the bottom of that you find things are only made up of atoms. Even if you don't believe it, you don't believe in anything, but you take a deep dive and you find the truth. You don't have any opinions, but you take a deep dive and you find the truth. Or you take all your opinions and all your beliefs and set them aside for just a few minutes. Take your shoes off at the doorstep and walk on in, clear and clean-minded, Then mind your business, mind your P's and Q's, and think, whatever you want. It doesn't matter. I don't care. It's crazy. There's only truth to life. The truth is, my hair is longer than it has been for months. So it's touching the top of my ears. It's been shaved pretty darn short for the past quite a few months. Really short. Not 3 millimeters, 11 millimeters kind of short. Dante, Doug? You're so good, man. He just sleeps through it. Oh, you can have all the beliefs you want. Take a deep dive into who Dante really is, or you can think he's just some ratty old mutt. He's one of the most well-behaved dogs on the earth. That's just every opinion aside. Look at the dude. I mean, he is only who he is. But take a deep dive. But anyway, that's what I mean. Leave all your opinions and your beliefs at the doorstep and go inside something deeply. Without any kind of previous knowledge. Well, I mean, knowledge is fine, I guess, because, we learn about things as they are. But any kind of previous perception, belief, opinion, or view, put it aside and dive deeply into something fresh. You know, like you take your shoes off outside and your shoes know where you've been. You've walked across all outside in your shoes, take them off at the door, walk inside somewhere new and fresh, and dive deeply into what you've just walked into as if you've never seen it or heard about it before. The thing is, we have opinions and beliefs in life. We have rules, regulations, parameters, whatever you want to say, you know, policies, procedures, things that we've come up with for ourselves or others in our lives that we stand by and we hold so true to, and we don't know why. We don't know where they started or when they stemmed from, or we just don't remember currently. And a lot of the time, what we need to do is take a deep dive into our own rules, beliefs, perceptions, approaches to life to find out the truth of why they are there. Why we have the rules that we do, that we've decided and created for our own approaches to life, or our own children. You know, a lot of people parent their children's. Oh, yeah. A lot of people now it's real. You know it. When I start stuttering, you know it. I don't stutter often. That's just personally. It's not, you know, you stutter if you stutter, but personally, me, I don't. Not usually. That's what I'm saying. It's a gift from God, is what I'm saying. I'm just good at speaking because something I couldn't take credit for. When I start stuttering, it's like, that's, you know, that's when it hits me so hard. A lot of people parent their kids out of beliefs they have, and they don't know where the beliefs came from, or if the beliefs are helping or hindering their life, and they're hindering your life. There's only truth to life. A lot of people parent their children out of rules or parameters around things, perceptions on things. You know, parent their children through views about what they think things are or something. And they're damaging their children because they haven't personally taken a deep dive into where these views and beliefs and opinions and rules and parameters around things and, you know, policies, procedures, perceptions have come from. They don't even know in their current life, you know, consciously, but they've just been doing things for quite some time, and they don't know in the moment like why or when it started. What you need to do, and this is one of those like I can tell you that kind of things, you need to, for your sake and everybody else's sake in your life and your own personal relationship with your own personal God, Jesus the Christ. Even if you don't want to believe that he's your God, and don't, but he's your God. He created you. Don't believe me, but that's the truth. How do I know? How do I know what the bottom of the ocean is? It's kind of just like a feeling. It's almost like I'm mocking that, but that's the truth. It's so funny. It's like, yeah, it just is, you know. Don't believe me. Yeah, shoot. That's hilarious. Yeah, because don't. That's the point, is it doesn't matter if what I'm saying makes any logical sense. Do your beliefs make any logical sense to you? You know, I mean, do they really? You know, you'll probably say no, at least about some of them, most all of them. And then if you take a deep dive, all of them. It's like, oh, delusions is what I've been living in. Oh, shoot. I almost cussed because it's just as real as it gets. You're living in delusions. That's what I mean. You've got rules for your life that are damaging your own life, and you don't even know why you have them. You don't need them, and you've been like gearing your life around them, and they're pointless, only damaging to you. And then you parent your kids, or you have grandkids, or you know, you're teaching somebody something, or you're leading something, and you're doing it through and around these beliefs and rules and parameters, perceptions, beliefs, views, and it's wrong. People have rules for their life that are holding them back so much. And it's just not true, you know? Whatever their rules are, whatever the reason behind their rules are, they might not even know. And you're not going to know unless you take a deep dive into where they came from. Well, it's like you dig up something out of the ground, man. And it's like, oh, here's something. Oh, yeah, there's something. Well, what is it? And you can have all the opinions you want. Unless you take a deep dive into finding out what that thing actually is, you don't know. I mean, you can sit there trying to see if my ear cartilage will have another release. It's very close to. I feel it. Oh, there's me popping my neck. That's rare to see. It's rare to do. I mean, I do it sometimes for sure, but anyway, problems that people think they have in their TMJ and that lower jawbone or the mandible where it meets the skull right in front of the ear. It's actually the ear cartilage most all of the time. It has been altered by so many ways, and we discuss it under In the Image Clothing Company's main side mostly, where we deeply, undisputedly, in all truth, I mean, you couldn't possibly dispute what we discuss under In the Image Clothing Company's main side. We discussed it in such depth and its universal truth of God that we didn't decide. That's what I mean. It's just what it is. Anyway. Oh, there it was. You heard it if you heard it. You saw if you saw. Meaning you can probably tell by watching. If you're watching in visual plus audio of In the Image Clothing Company Podcast, episode 199. I tried to get through it with just one breath. It's so funny. Episode 199, though. This one titled Take a Deep Dive. There you go. It's that cartilage breaking up in the ears. We get into chronic patterning and scar tissue that builds up, bone spurs that build up in the body through oversized clothing, imbalances in clothing of any kind. Oversized clothing in itself is an imbalance. Ropes introduced to the body, shoelaces, drawstrings, anything we could tie with one side of a thing over the other side of a thing. We could call it a rope, or anything around the body or onto the body. The body has a center line. In the Image Clothing Company's shoelace technique, we show you have to tie your shoes evenly, and I didn't do it until I was 24 years old. But over toward the inside on both feet, it's like doing a left-handed knot on the right foot and a right-handed knot on the left foot, essentially. Okay, Dante and I filmed a video today under the main side of In the Image Clothing Company, and what it's titled is Reaching Down with the Left Hand. And then I took a snippet of it and I put it on In the Image Clothing Company as well, like a 14 to 15 minute snippet. Because the other video is like a little over an hour long. But the snippet is titled The Left Hand versus the Right Hand. Anyway, with the center line of the body and Earth's center of gravity. But Dante and I filmed, we filmed some good videos lately, man. Yesterday we filmed a video titled, because it was a big one. Oh, the natural curve in the spine. A couple or a few days ago, we filmed one titled The Natural Bend in the Knee. Anyway, we just here we go. Context, context, date marking, just congruency. We've been the same since the founding. Here you go, here you go, here you go. In the Image Clothing Company's authentic information about the truth of God that we can never take credit for. But us as a company, we've been doing it since we've been doing it. Our information's from us authentically, from God through us authentically, if you can see what I mean. It's a lot of reason for the date marks. It's a lot of reason for the gift of video. Okay. And us using that as such a huge part of what we always will under In the Image Clothing Company and all four sides. So this is the point, though, with the thing I was discussing. I don't know what I was discussing as of right now. Oh, shoot. Life is quite the adventure, man. Dante's quite the dog. Anyway, I don't know exactly where I was in my discussion as of right now. But the point is, you just have to take a deep dive in life, on things, or you'll never actually know what they really are. And you can have all the opinions you want. It doesn't matter. Your opinions confuse you. I mean, it's like just us trying to understand who God is. We'll never understand him fully in this life. And you can have all your opinions you want, but they'll only confuse you. But if you take a deep dive into God, take a deep dive into the Word of God, read your scriptures deeply and thoroughly, pray to God in the name of Jesus Christ deeply and thoroughly and personally. What does that sound? I know that it's just him licking himself, but it just sounded like extra loud. Weird. Well, I have done a lot of stuff to Dante, like a chiropractor, and we'll get into it as time progresses. I'll explain more than I have. But just look at the mobility in his body. Look at how when he lays down, he curls up like a little dragon. He wasn't able to do that when I adopted him around 2.5 weeks ago. I'm the founder of In the Image Clothing Company. You know, we really know what we're talking about here with the things we discuss, or we wouldn't be discussing them. So just take a deep dive, you know. That's the point. I mean, people don't dispute the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints anymore, meaning they don't try to, because it is truth. It's impossible to dispute truth without just lying. That's what I'm saying about we really know what we're talking about under In the Image Clothing Company. There's only truth to how the human body works. And I mean, I can have all the phrases I say that can sound all they sound like as if they're claims. But if they're truth, you know? Man. You can, I mean, yeah. It's just as real as it gets, man. I mean, we have the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints being the most transformative thing on this earth. We talk about the kingdom of God meeting the kingdom of heaven. You know, God's kingdom in heaven is God's kingdom in heaven. But what we're doing is strengthening the kingdom of God on the earth to match and meet the kingdom of heaven when God returns the second time, when Jesus Christ comes again at his second coming. So what we have is things just what they are. I mean, but you'll never know unless you dive deeply. Not really, but once you fully dive deeply into something, you know. We say it on this end often under In the Image Clothing Company. This is a scripture, you know, in the Word of God. We don't know what we don't know. We can't be held accountable for what we don't know. But it's on the other end as well. The more you know, the more you're held accountable for. And so you cannot believe all you want that everything on the earth is just made up of atoms. You know, we've got scientific laws, you know, universal things like that that line up with the universal truth of God being the same yesterday, today, and forever. Jesus the Christ, God himself. Matter cannot be created or destroyed. Well, okay, so you don't have to believe everything's made up of atoms. You can sit here and be like, that is absolutely unbelievable. You really expect me to believe everything on the planet here is just made up of tiny little vibrating atoms? I don't believe that. And everything's just vibration, and motion is just, you know, I mean, and then you can get so deep in stuff that's just universal truth like that is God, like mathematics and physics and mechanics, like we discussed with the human body. It is truly impossible. This is what I mean. One of those things you don't have to believe. But if you take a deep dive into it, it's truth and you'll know it for yourself. It's truly, physically, legitimately, in all actuality, mechanically impossible to train the human body to get it to do anything. That's what I'm saying. You can say that these things are just so unbelievable. Well, great. Don't believe it. It's truth. You take a deep dive into it, you'll find out it's true. It's true regardless of if you have a belief. Because it was the same before you were ever here to have a belief. Or not. There's only truth. That's it. Always. No opinion to truth. I can't tell you to believe in truth. You just know the truth or you don't. You can deny it all you want. You're denying truth. It hasn't changed. It doesn't. It couldn't. It's truth. Man, what's the title? Take a deep dive. The reason is because I wanted to fully say what I was saying there if we can get back to it. Everything being made up of atoms, yeah, sure, it's as unbelievable as it is. It's crazy. You know? But once you dive deeply into the microscope of anything, you put anything under the microscope, under amplification of lenses, like our eyes are just lenses for us to see. God gives us eyes to see, and he amplifies our vision as we draw near to him. He'll draw near to us, and he's perfect, and he knows all things. God knows that everything's made up of atoms. He designed it. But you don't have to believe it. It can be as unbelievable as it just is. It's unbelievable. I mean, that's crazy. So don't believe it. Once you look under microscopes and, multiple lenses amplifying it to narrow in and zoom in and get closer and closer in that straight and narrow path to the truth of the deep dive you've taken under the microscope to see that everything that is placed underneath that microscope can be seen as just the atoms that it is. When you get small enough, when you narrow in enough, when you dive deep enough, now you know it. And you can't dispute it without lying to yourself and God. On the other end of we don't know what we don't know and we can't be held accountable for what we don't know, once we know things, we're held accountable for it. Once you see something, regardless of if you believe it or not, you know it. You can talk about how believing is seeing or seeing is believing, but really once you see something, you've seen it, and that's the truth. And if you never saw it, you know it's still true after having seen it, and so it would have been if you never did. There's only truth to life. Nobody can decide it. I mean, catch the phrasing. No body, right? Every body has one, or everyone has a body. When we discuss where clothing sits under In the Image Clothing Company, to not alter the body because gravity has the same effect on the clothing we place onto it that's man-made as gravity has on the human body that's God-made. Okay, I mean, it's so real. It's crazy. It's unbelievable how true it is. Wow. Yeah. Yes. Right. Take a deep dive and you'll find out there's only truth to life, and you could never possibly change that. Neither could I. I couldn't convince somebody of something, but I can bring it to their understanding, People don't change unless they're ready, unless they're willing. It's not our goal to try to change people. But you change once you are willing, once you let God change you. God is the truth. Once you accept the truth or accept God, then you change. Your understanding does, and that changes who you are as a person, kind of. We don't really change, but do you see what I mean? It brings you back to you, to your authentic self. There's no possible way to get to authenticity. Once you strip everything away, you're authentic, Ah, shoot. It's just truth, man. There's only truth to life. There's no opinion to have. Don't believe me. Man. Talk about it, man. You can watch my visual and physical transformation in my body. Evan Strong, as the founder of In the Image Clothing Company from any most early date, even the founding date, the 23rd of September 2024. To any current date or most current date, anyway, yeah, you can just see it under the gift of video that we do so much of under In the Image Clothing Company. How else am I doing it? Well, it's the truth of what we discuss. That's what I mean. Just, it's unbelievable. But take a deep dive. I mean, take a deep dive into what we're really doing. You can just look at what we're doing as In the Image Clothing Company and have an opinion or belief on it. Think we're just making something up and leave, and you've damned yourself. That's what we were saying in episode 198 of In the Image Clothing Company podcast, titled Damning Yourself. But what I'm saying here in this, going along with the title of Take a Deep Dive, is take a deep dive into it. That's the point. We will just continue to deepen and deepen and deepen and deepen our context that you can deepen and deepen and deepen your dive into. As In the Image Clothing Company, we'll just keep continuing to continue. The more we do, the more credible we become. That makes it more credible, is an episode title of In the Image Clothing Company podcast. That's the point. The more we do, the more credible we are. That's what I'm saying. The deeper you dive into the truth, which is found within the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Yeah, in all seriousness, that's the only end it happens on. The deeper you dive into the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, the less possibility you could even have to say that it's not true. Deeper context brings deeper understandings. Dive deep, man. The deeper you dive into the ocean, the more you'll know about it. I mean, that's how it works, dude. There's only truth to life. Anyway, we'll cut it. We'll wrap it. We'll wrap it up, bro. Who's he talking to? Well, he who has ears to hear, let him hear, as Jesus Christ says, because what I've done here is spoken the truth in my imperfect human being, Evan Strong ways of doing so. But I've told you about things that have always been what they are throughout this. So don't believe it, but take a deep dive. If you want to take a deep dive with me into life, then there you go. That's what I'm here to do, is get as close as I can to Jesus Christ. As Taya says, singing lead for the song Oceans by Hillsong United, the band, you know. Take me deeper, she says, you know. Take me deeper, where my trust is without borders. Let me walk upon the waters in the presence of my Savior. Take a deep dive, you know, and you won't regret it. It'll be tough, but it's going to be the most fulfilling and rewarding, joy-filled, life-lasting thing you ever could possibly do. Into truth, okay? Dante? Hey, Dante, Doug. You're a good boy. Anyway, I am in this for life. Dante and I will be down in St. George, Utah before we know it. Because we don't know when, and so there you go. Soon, though. But God's soon is not always our soon, and most commonly it isn't. Okay. So thank you. Today's the 2nd of January, 2026. My name is Evan Strong. This is the 199th episode of In the Image Clothing Company podcast, titled Take a Deep Dive. Clothing sits for everyone. Above the hips. But this is the point. Man, woman, tall, short, skinny, fat, any age, any part of the earth, any time period to ever be. You are just a human being. Entirely above the hips, but below those lowest ribs. That's what's called our natural waist, where we actually bend side to side at our spine. It's impossible to bend side to side at the hips without a foot coming off the ground. The spine bends forward and back like the hips, but it also bends side to side. With our pants there at our natural waist above the hip bones, but below the lowest ribs. The waistband sits slightly higher in the front, just very slight to do what we can to ensure it doesn't fall lower in the front, to keep that neutral pelvis position on the earth, which is the same position as the feet of ours on the surface of our planet. Then the pelvis can rotate underneath us posteriorly, excessively straightening our bodies, or rotate anterior away from our bodies, because the hips already bend backward or anterior. So if we go farther into that position, we just go more excessively bent on Earth's gravity. Because the ankles bend backwards, the knees bend forwards, the hips bend backwards, the lower back bends forward, the mid back bends backward, and the upper back, which is really the spine, bends forward. It's just mathematics. It's just mechanics, physics, truth, undisputed. There's only one way the human body could ever work. It's impossible to train it, to get it to do anything. Something like posture, it's impossible. It has opposing bends on Earth's centered gravity pole. They have to be evenly opposing with their measurements. Mathematics. God, actually, is who that is. The truth, yes. Undisputed and universal. So don't believe me. It applies to you, even if you don't care to care. Well, Dante, let's talk about a few things, I guess, at least here real quick, after we discuss where clothing sits, because tops that we wear have seams on top of our shoulders. They need to sit evenly behind the peak of our shoulders. Our shoulders only ever work mechanically behind our head. We pivot on the collarbone or clavicle, which connects to the shoulder blade or scapula, and the upper arm bone or humerus. Those three bones become the shoulder. There's only one neutral location those sit in on Earth's center of gravity. Shoulders follow shoulder seams. The shoulders only ever work behind the head. I mean, the scapulas or shoulder blades, they sit behind the rib cage. They're not going to come through physical immovable bones of the ribs, being just a physical immovable bone of the scapula or shoulder blade to come in front of the body. They just have to wrap up and around the rib cage, and that's just very unnatural. We pivot on the collarbone from the center line of the body at the sternum out to the edge of the shoulder. It's just mechanics. There's only one way the human body could ever work. It's not our decision. We couldn't take credit for it under In the Image Clothing Company, but we share the truth in our imperfect ways. The edges of our shoulders have seams, and the edges of our shoulder has a seam, okay? Or the joint of our shoulder has a seam, and the joint of the clothing has a joint or a seam. Anyway, joint and seam is the same thing, really, okay? As close as we can get to the edge of the shoulder is where those edge seams sit of our tops. We get in depth with things, free modifications, In the Image Clothing Company's dreaded collar seam modification, keeping collars centered for human beings and dogs. Anything discrepant in the collar or different in the collar, okay, that needs to sit evenly around the circumference of our neck. The jaw is the shoulder directly through the lower jawbone at the corner of it here. The mandible tendons and musculature come down and connect to the edge of our shoulder through the collar of our top. Dogs are the same. And there you go, right? The rotated seams in clothing. Clothing is just so terrible nowadays in a lot of cases with designs. People just don't know what they don't know, but that's what I'll say on that for right now in episode 199 of In the Image Clothing Company podcast here. Okay, titled Take a Deep Dive, because take a deep dive into what we do under In the Image Clothing Company. We have so much context, and you'll find the truth of the human body's functionality in there. Don't believe it, but find the truth that we get down to as well as you can. So, Dante, we might do it better than you in your current understanding, but then you could deepen your understanding as we do, okay? Dante, we talk about feeding dogs at the height of their sternum to have their head in a neutral position, and keeping collars or anything placed onto the dog, leashes, harnesses, things like this, slip leads, as centered and light as we can. Dante came from wherever he came from when I adopted him from the South Utah Valley Animal Shelter. That's exactly what I'm saying. Look at it. Look at the motion. For those of you in visual plus audio, in Dante's neck, he's kicking himself in the face there. I've done a lot of release to the bottom side of Dante's jawbone and the top of his front shoulder blade, especially on the right. When we pet dogs, if we're right-handed, living in this right-handed world, like today's video under the main side of In the Image Clothing Company, reaching down with the left hand, we're almost always reaching down with our right hand, being right-handed, as 85% of human beings are, give or take, across the earth in modern 2026. 2026, as of 2 days ago, from today's date, the 2nd of January. Anyway, so you see him yawning a lot in this if you do. And like I was saying earlier, the sound of him licking himself sounds louder because it's the way we articulate our words as human beings, and it sounds crisp and well placed. Our tongue, when our bodies are centered, Dante's body is so much more centered than it was when I adopted him. He had a lot of matting to his hair, meaning his hair was all tangled up and it really pulled on the skin. In the pits of things like, his armpit or leg pit, it can cause a physical gap, like tags in clothing, truly, Under his ears, the matting can get built up and cause a physical gap, so his ears don't lay at his sides naturally. Collars are sitting around the neck of the dog against their bone, building up scar tissue, and as he's doing here, he's laying his lower jawbone, his mandible, flat on what he's laying on, extending out his trachea fully and his spine from the base of his skull down to the tip of his tail. It's the same spine, like as human beings from the base of our skull to the top of our pelvis is the same spine through all the thirds of our spine, the cervical, thoracic, and lumbar spine. As we discussed in that video yesterday that Dante and I filmed that I referenced in this, titled The Natural Curve in the Spine. But you just look at his head right now. This is good. Me saying this as you are seeing it, as of today's date, the 2nd of January, 2026. I've been with Dante for around 2 weeks is all. As of today's date, it's documented, the date marks in past episodes of In the Image Clothing Company podcast, for example, as one of the many places in the Image Clothing Company music, in the Image Clothing Company's main site. I know I've documented it there as well. Just the journey with Dante up until this point has been documented, at least some in those locations. Dante, you know, having a collar around your neck, if you're a dog, you can't lay your head down and have the lower jawbone on what you're laying on because there's a physical gap caused by the collar. So underneath the jaw and around the neck, I mean, there's bones of the sides of the neck of the dog. I'm still learning the anatomy of dogs. Still learning the anatomy of the human body as well, but I don't understand the anatomy of dogs quite to the degree that I understand the anatomy of the human being as of today's date, the 2nd of January 2026, as the founder of In the Image Clothing Company. Okay, letting the dogs stay natural, allowing the body to work, In the Image Clothing Company poodles, you know. Oh shoot, and the main side of In the Image Clothing Company. This is what I'm saying, is I'm in this for life, okay? As we say, there's an episode of In the Image Clothing Company podcast titled I'm in this for life. And we're just deepening our understandings with this. We're taking a deep dive personally, and then we're preaching about it after we have practiced doing so. Do you see what I'm saying? Or in this case, like during the process of doing so, but we preach what we have practiced. There's an episode of In the Image Clothing Company podcast titled something like that. Preaching what you practice. It's on the back end. Anyway, when the dog's jaw is aligned well, the same as how us as human beings, we have this crisp articulation of our tongue centered in our mouth. That's the same with the dogs. And it's extremely common for domesticated dogs nowadays. It's an unnatural thing to domesticate dogs. Letting dogs stay natural under In the Image Clothing Company poodles, one of our fourths is In the Image Clothing Company. Sure, to begin with, domesticated dogs is unnatural. These breeds, even purebreds, are man-made. Poodles didn't exist in nature. They're a man-made breed. It's been done over time through proper breeding and, you know, relatively slowly to zero in on a very healthy breed. That's why we advocate for purebred dogs. That's why we will be breeding purebred standard poodles and showing how to and the importance of purebred dogs for the health under In the Image Clothing Company poodles. Once we move down to St. George, Utah, we'll have our building, our In the Image Clothing Company building, and you know, it won't be a building for other human beings to come into besides In the Image Clothing Company's team members and our poodles, but we will breed our poodles in that building and do so much under the gift of video showing it. What I'm saying here, though, about the collar around Dante's neck and the matting under his ears and around, you know, parts of his body, I have, you know, with my fingers and my knuckles of my hands, the same way a chiropractor will go over your body with their own knuckles, broken up the scar tissue along the shoulder of Dante, where the collar's sitting, and along the bones on the side of Dante's neck, where the collar sits, and underneath that lower jawbone, underneath the part of it that would be laying on the ground, like he is now, with nothing in the way to alter it, but also under the very rear of it, where that collar will be sitting, you know, tension being pulled against the collar when the dog's on a lead of some type, if it is just a slip lead or a leash attached to a collar, you know, these are eternal truths. These are things that are man-made, placed onto God's design of the animal. Even though the breed of the dog is man-made, what I mean by man-made is we've just genetically selected specific dogs to breed, but the breeding is happening on its own. The growing of the dog is God doing that. We're not actually building the dog. We're selecting specific dogs to breed together. The dogs are building themselves. Really, God is doing it. God orchestrates all things. Even things that are like that to a degree are kind of man-made, they're not. They're man-selected, made by God, if that can be seen how it is. Yeah, not how I'm trying to explain it, but how it is. Do you see what I mean? Truth is truth. And what I'm saying is we can take a deep dive into this and know horses, pack mules, dogs, any animals that we place things onto as mankind, man-made things. But those are some of the most common ones for us to do that with. Dogs with their collars, scar tissue gets built up, and so Dante didn't have the normal amount of rotations in his legs. He couldn't even lift his head. I'd take Dante's head with my thumbs under his lower jawbone or his mandible, and I tried to lift his head vertical straight up so he'd like point his nose to the ceiling or the sky, as he did here when I said that's good for you to see because it's documented under the gift of video here, episode 199 of In the Image Clothing Company podcast. And as of today's date is the big point to show congruency going forth. This is why we have In the Image Clothing Company poodles, is things like this. He can now lift his chin or his lower jawbone and really his whole entire head pivoting as we do at the base of his skull or the top of his spine where it meets into there. I don't know if it's called the cervical spine for the dogs, but for us human beings, it's called the cervical spine, right? Looking down opposes bad posture. A video under the main site of In The Image Clothing Company, seen with context, that is the truth. When it's a physical mechanics of the head looking down, not our eyes. That's us actually straightening our spine on Earth's gravity. Dante can be like up against the countertop with the cabinets beneath it, and he can look straight up, and his jaw, the lower jawbone, the part that actually rests on the ground as it is now on the top of the bed here, it can lay all the way against the cabinet, looking up at the top of the counter. That's how much range of motion he has in his neck now because of his jaw and the releases I have done personally to him as his owner and as the founder of In The Image Clothing Company, with 1/4 of us being In The Image Clothing Company poodles, letting dogs stay natural. So documentation, date marked. There you go. That's good because I have. The past 2.5 weeks, I've done a lot with Dante physically like that, being his physical personal chiropractor. In the sense of permanent releases, though. Not just popping bones for them to go back to how they were, but specifically selecting areas of scar tissue that have been built up over man-made things placed onto the dog, quote, clothing the dog, unquote. Clothing truly is the only fix to human beings' physical problems. The same with dogs when we discuss the physical problems that directly come from clothing. Okay? I mean, that's just how it is. Truth is truth. It's as obvious as it is once you see it. It's as real as it gets. Dante, I can say this phrase now going forth. My dog is natural. My dog looks natural. If you want to know, I can say it like this. If you want to know if what we do under In The Image Clothing Company poodles really lets dogs stay natural, just look at Dante. As one of the many poodles we will always, have under In The Image Clothing Company poodles. One day Dante will die. But our poodles, we can say that. Look at our dogs. Don't they look natural? Don't our dogs look more like a wild animal than you see these domesticated dogs, and they can't even really move their head sometimes? You try to move their head to one direction and they're really forcing it off to the other direction. That's how Dante was. I couldn't even cut his hair very well because I tried to lift his chin up, his lower jawbone, just to cut the hair under his throat and his chest. And he'd be forcing his jaw down to the point of almost lifting his own feet off the ground, trying to oppose me lifting his jaw upward because it was so stiff and tight because of scar tissue that has gotten built up under Dante's jaw through whatever it was with the previous owner. I don't know exactly where he came from. He came in as a stray to the South Utah Valley Animal Shelter. I adopted him. He's now my dog for life. Legally, he's mine. I love him. He's a different dog in 2.5 weeks because I'm the founder of In The Image Clothing Company. And it's because of the knowledge that I know. Well, it's because of what I have personally done to him. But it's not my information. It's because God's design of the dog had been altered. And so I unaltered parts of it to the degree that I have unaltered parts of it as of today's date, the 2nd of January, 2026. I mean, this is the point. This is what I mean by take a deep dive. You can think all you want about how to help your dog with all these new advancements and enhancements and things that are false. Natural is the goal. Natural is the healthiest. I'm just releasing scar tissue that's built up in Dante's body. I'm not doing anything new for him. I'm ridding things that have come to him that are damaging. By mankind is the point, right? Wild dogs are natural. Wild dogs, they curl up tight like Dante does. Most domesticated dogs can't do that. There's a physical collar in the way of their neck just closing in to wrap up nice and tight and have their spine curve. Their spine goes all the way to their head from the tip of their tail. And the collar's placed between there. And that rear part of the lower jawbone just pinches that collar between the shoulder. The shoulder of the dog and the rear of their lower collar, dogs don't have collarbones. That's the point, right? So it's the shoulder blade of the dog. If that is how you word it, just that upper crest of the shoulder of the front legs or front arms of the dog, that and the rear of the lower jawbone of the dog pinches the collar. And so there's only a certain range of motion the dog can turn their head in before they hit something that we've placed onto them that's in the way. So their body gets, what people call arthritis, and it's not real in almost every case. It's not an actual thing with the body. It's the body working around something a human being has placed onto it that is man-made. This is the same with human beings. I've said it for many, many months. Since right around the very founding of In The Image Clothing Company at least, and maybe since like the very, very, very founding, but many, 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 many months back from today's date. There's only been 15 of them, but I just mean in relation to how many months there has been that we've had in the Image Clothing Company at all, me, Evan Strong, being the founder, in this for live to lead it. I've said, there's no such thing as arthritis. In the ways that arthritis is just stiffening up of joints, it's the body just trying to work around what you physically place on it. It's as obvious as it is once you see it. It doesn't become obvious. It is obvious. We just don't see it. What's at the bottom of the ocean is at the bottom of the ocean. And once you see it, then okay, it's obvious. It's just there. Yeah, you couldn't have a question on it if you've seen it. It's there, Anyway, seeing isn't always believing, but you don't need to believe in anything for things to be what they are. Oh, shoot. What I'm saying is, Dante, man, things like feeding dogs at head height, having their bowl, the top of their sternum, okay, the base of their throat, where there's that pokey bone right there, like us human beings, where our collarbones come in and connect, the same area for the dogs. Feed your dog at that height so that we keep air out of the digestive system. Dante and I filmed a video 2 days ago. Yes, as far as I'm aware, it was 2 days ago from today's date, the 2nd of January, 2026, titled Keeping Air Out of the Digestive System. It went along with what we discussed in one of the teen numbers of episodes of In the Image Clothing Company podcast. It was either 16 or 17, as far as I remember, titled Hydration Truths. The other one was titled Eating Truths, back to back. 16 or 17, I think, is those two episodes. Anyway, yeah, the point is, that was me knocking on the bottom of my shoe, by the way, with my fingernails. Cut relatively flat on the tips. Fully to the tips of the fingers and toes, backing and supporting them. So we stay in the neutral wrist and neutral gripped arch position, okay? Anyway, same with dogs. I've been thinking about some things. I'm going to take a deep dive in this episode titled Take a Deep Dive about some things I've learned about, dogs deeper this past couple weeks, 2.5 weeks, give or take, that I've had Dante. I'll have him for his entire life, or my entire life, whichever one of us dies first. And then we'll have many poodles after that, unless I was the one that died first. But things like if you cut your dog's nails on any angle that's not the angle that they'd just be on the ground. We have things like animals on the earth. What I mean is animals like elephants. The bottom of elephants' feet are flat. The bottom of elephants' nails are flat. The bottom of horses' hooves are flat. The bottom of caribou's hooves are flat, or mules. Their hooves on the bottom are flat. What I mean, hooves or hoofs, however you pronounce it personally. I think it is hooves, though, in the English language, if you're pronouncing it correct. Words only mean what words mean, right? What I mean, though, with this is, I discuss we cut our nails relatively flat on the tips, even though I discuss the rounding that's in our hands. We filmed a video, Dante and I, a few days ago here, under the main site of In the Image Clothing Company, from today's date back. Today's date is the 2nd of January, 2026, titled The Open Palm and Internal Rotation. It goes along with the video we have under the main site of In the Image Clothing Company that Dante and I both filmed, titled The Pinky Finger and Internal Rotation. It might be worded on the other end, internal rotation and the pinky finger. Anyway, the pinky finger affects the entire body. We've been saying the same things since the founding, but my understandings of it have deepened, and we have given some very, very deep context under the gift of video before today's date, the 2nd of January, 2026. I love it. It's truth, okay? You can't dispute truth, okay? And I don't want to be doing anything that can be disputed, because I don't care about me. I care about God. God is undisputed. Okay? Hey, Dante. Talking about you now, buddy. He's just got so much mobility now. A lot of dogs, we're right-handed as human beings. And so if you're petting your dog, like stroking their face with your right hand, you can stroke their face imbalanced. Years of doing this, doing it through puppyhood while your dog's growing. It's like human beings wearing imbalanced clothing while they're growing. Bones actually grow imbalanced, and that's the truth. It's ridiculous. I've personally experienced it myself, getting out of chronic patterning and scar tissue. I reference these 2 videos. They're podcast episodes under In the Image Clothing Company podcast. One of them is Not a Walk in the Park, and the other one is Never Be the Same. Both of those things are true when it comes to getting out of chronic patterning and scar tissue, what we really do under the main site of In the Image Clothing Company. But our dogs, Yeah, I mean, we can stroke their face, and you stroke like down your dog's face and like their ear, with your hand from their nose back. You can be pulling the left side of their face back with your right hand because you're right-handed. If you are, 85%, give or take, if human beings are. So what we have then is a dog that can only really turn right. Just the way that the left side of their face is like stretched out, they can only really turn right. They can't lift their head up and to the left. Ah, man, I mean, they can't really turn their head left all that well. They get scar tissue on the right side of their body. I mean, it's like their right ear being more forward than their left ear being more back, and it kind of causes them to be in a position where some things seem backward in the body because there's two sides to the body. And so even if, stroking your dog's right side of their face back might make you think that they could then turn. Let me say this correct, just so I'm saying it correct. Okay, because it's documented, that's the point of saying it. Stroking your dog's left side of their face with your right hand, being right-handed, stroking it backward. You might think that's like causing the dog to be able to turn left because you're stroking it like to the left in a sense by coming back from the nose to the ear on the left side of the dog's face. But no, that's actually causing the dog to be in an imbalance that causes them to look right. You've stretched out the left side of their face and it closes off more the right side of their face, their neck, and where their ear has motion. And the dogs move their ears so much like I do. We discuss the ears. There's many videos under the main site of In The Image Clothing Company for human beings discussing the ears, how the ears are essentially the jaw. I talked about my ear cartilage releasing in this, and you heard it and saw it if you did. Anyway, I'm in this for life, as we say, right? That's an episode title of In the Image Clothing Company podcast. My name is Evan Strong. I am the founder and leader of In the Image Clothing Company for my entire lifetime, as is Dante, as one of our many poodles that we will have. But Dante has been the first, and he's the unexpected. I expected my first poodle to be Nita, N-I-T-A, because we will be having a breeding program under In the Image Clothing Company poodles to further good bloodlines of dogs, for the health of dogs, to show how to do pure breeding and properly registering dogs, not for the prestige, but for the reasons we do it. Okay, there's a lot of reasons. The point is, Dante's not the dog I expected to be my first, and I wouldn't have adopted the wrong dog. I'm in this for life. It would be almost a liability. Like, what do I do with this dog now if it was a dog that didn't align with what we do and my lifestyle as the founder and leader of In The Image Clothing Company for my lifetime? But Dante's hear this correct, there's no perfect dog, but God gives perfect gifts. Dante's the perfect dog for me right now because he was placed by God. And that's something you will see if you're willing to, meaning if you want to know what I mean by that, check out the context we have. We'll just continue to do things. Dante's my dog for either his or my entire lifetime, whoever dies first. But Dante has taught me a lot that I wouldn't have learned otherwise in quite the same way. Now, eventually, if I needed to learn it, God would have made a way for it to happen. But now I'm giving context in this video as of today's date, the 2nd of January, 2026, on things that I've learned with Dante because I have him. And if I didn't have him right now, I wouldn't have been able to give the context quite the same way out of personal experience, through Dante without having him right now. So what I'm saying is we pull back the left side of the dog's face with our right hand, being right-handed, just stroking your dog's face. If you do that, okay, like facing your dog. And now the left side of the dog's face is like stretched out, and the left side of the dog's face being stretched out causes the right side of the dog's face to stiffen up and chronically like adhere to the bones, the musculature and the skin and stuff, right? Scar tissue gets built up on the right side of the dog's face because of this. And the underside of the dog's right lower jaw bone, can you see what I mean? Because let's say you reach out right-handed. I mean, this is the video under the main site of In The Image Clothing Company today, like I said. Reaching down with the left hand, it's opposing reaching down with the right hand in this right-handed patterning, right? Reaching down with the right hand is externally rotating the right arm up to the shoulder, into the spine, down to the foot. Reaching down with the left hand would be externally rotating the left hand up to the shoulder, into the spine, down to the foot. We have to be opposing internal rotation on one side with external rotation on the other side of our bodies because there's a center line on Earth's center of gravity. That's a lot of what we discussed on that, video we filmed today. It's huge, it's big. Okay, and that snippet I took, the left hand, the left arm versus the right arm that I took from that main video there and placed under the main side of In The Image Clothing Company. It's about 15 minutes long, 14 minutes something seconds, okay? If we're reaching out palm up with our right hand and putting our hand underneath the jaw of our dog as we do, and kind of stroke their face with our thumb, just the right side of our bodies is reaching out and touching the left side of the dog's body. And this builds up scar tissue. I mean, just think about stroking and stroking and stroking your own face the way you stroke your own dog as often as you do. Your face would become imbalanced. The skin's just connected to the musculature, and the musculature is just connected to the bones of the body. The bones are just the skeletal frame of the body. The musculature just connects to them through tendons to move the bones. We filmed a video, Dante and I both, a few days ago under the main side of In The Image Clothing Company titled The Epidermis, which is the skin of the body. It's an actual organ. Anyway, okay, context, date marked, documented. There you go. Congruency will be had because we've been saying the same things since the founding of In The Image Clothing Company 40, 60, 80 plus years down the road from today's date, okay? We'll be discussing the same things because it's truth. This is us taking a deep dive. This is me taking a deep dive into a lot of what we discuss on the main side of In The Image Clothing Company, but here on In The Image Clothing Company podcast, which we do at times, okay? Times and places for things. There you go. Okay, all four sides of In The Image Clothing Company, they bleed over into each other. We have the poodles on each of the four sides that we do. They're not only on In The Image Clothing Company poodles, but Dante's my personal dog, so anything I'm personally doing, he's with me in, for example, right? But then also the reason for having the poodles, is helpful, we can say it like that, for all four sides of In The Image Clothing Company and not just In The Image Clothing Company poodles. And so Dante now, he will live an entirely different life having been adopted by me than if any other human being on the planet were to have adopted him. I can say in all... I mean, I don't want it to be just cut and dry like there couldn't possibly be another option, like a blanket statement, but just about guaranteed there'd be no other possible way for another human being on the entire planet out of the 7 billion plus that are there that if they would have adopted Dante, they would have done to him. Really what I mean by to him is for him, what I have done for him. In the very specific locations I know to look to rid the scar tissue in Dante's body along the crests of his bone, like the crest of his shoulder blade, right, if that's what it's called, the top of his front right arm or front right leg, and the lower rear part of his lower jawbone, and then around the eye, because the eyebrows need to move as well, and if he can't extend his jaw up, his eyebrows can't lift. It's the same skin on all of the body. That's the same skin on all of the body. On the main side of In The Image Clothing Company, we have a video titled How Oversized Clothing... That's not exactly how it's worded. It's worded, oversized clothing makes life hard. And that's the truth. A lot of the reason is because of the skin of the body. Things like the importance of even eyebrows, the importance of even ears, the importance of even nostrils, the importance of the corners of the mouth. These are videos under the main side of In The Image Clothing Company because of the skin of the head being pulled down on by things like oversized tops placed onto our shoulders. There's the same skin on the shoulders where the oversized tops are placed is the same skin on the tip of our head. We have small little muscles across our entire skull between the skin of our head and our actual skull bone of the human being, which is made up of multiple different plates of bone. I know what I'm talking about. Don't believe me. I'm the founder of In The Image Clothing Company. I am in this for life. Okay, so the point with Dante is, just breaking up, along the bone of where the musculature of the eyebrows adheres to his skull. And, along just the rear of the lower jawbone, the underside of the lower jawbone, the shoulder blade of the dog, you know, if that's what it's called, the shoulder blade, the top of that front leg or front arm. Imbalanced collars, even if your collar's balanced, though, it's just causing a gap from the dog's natural spine rotations in its neck, where its jaw will hit the collar on one side and its shoulder will hit the collar on the other side of the collar. It's just as real as it gets, okay? So what I'm saying is we need to be intentional to pet our dogs with both hands. As silly as that could possibly seem, because it almost just sounds silly, you know, I mean, I can see, to me even, it sounds kind of silly, like, yeah, okay, I get it, but it's kind of weird. I just pet my dog when I love my dog and want to stroke his face or her face with my hand. You really want me to be, like, conscious of how I just show my dog affection? I do. And you don't have to care what I want you to do or what I think. It's not an opinion, though. This is me taking a deep dive into what's really happening. You'll notice when dogs bark, sometimes they bark and their head whips to only one side. Again and again and again, their head goes to one side. Imbalanced collars or imbalanced petting of them from the owner. This is truth, okay? This is where it's coming from. It's universal. You see it. It happens in the dogs. You can feel it with your own hands. If you know where to look, you'll find the scar tissue built up along the crests of the bone. Right on the edges of the bone is what I mean, okay? Just like gristly stuff in meat. If you eat meat, I'm vegetarian, but you know, you look at that gristle in meat. It's a very similar thing. I mean, tendons themselves in the body are essentially scar tissue. It's just tough material. That's not muscle fiber. You know, that's what I mean. Stretching the human body. When I say that it's damaging and it can never actually benefit you, it's not an opinion. Take a deep dive into what we really do here. I know what I'm talking about as the founder of In The Image Clothing Company. You don't have to care about me, but care about God. There is only truth to life, and we've gotten down to it to the degree that we have, and we're deepening it as In The Image Clothing Company. That's the point. It's not our decisions, not our opinions, or it wouldn't work. There is only truth to life. The truth is we have man-made things we're placing on God's designs. As I say, the only end for the human body is allowing God's design of the human body to work. The only end for the dogs and any information that letting dogs stay natural applies to for any animals on the earth, right? The only end is letting the dogs and really any animals that are information under In The Image Clothing Company poodles with letting dogs stay natural applies to. Yes, letting them stay natural is the only end. You'll never get it to happen. We'll never have advancements or enhancements to improve the human beings or the dogs or any animals or the earth. It is false if that is trying to be preached to you. God is all things. He is the truth. He never changes. Matter cannot be created or destroyed. Any products we try to conjure up are just us taking other things that God has already placed on the earth for us and putting them together. They are not new. It's a concoction of old things that we have thought at that case have become new. It is impossible to actually invent something as a human being, really. I mean, we're just putting things together that God has given us. No opinion to truth. So take a deep dive with me. Do you see what I mean? I sound like I'm mocking people a lot of the time, and I kind of sound like I am now. Sure, I'm mocking the human condition. I'm mocking myself as well as anyone else if we're trying to do anything opposing the truth of God. There is only truth. So take a deep dive. Take a deep dive. I feel like I just want to cuss about it. Like, it's just as true as it is. Look at him. What I'm saying is you watch him yawn so often. In this video, you've seen it. Watch him stretch. There you go. I mean, dogs stretch where they do, but he's been yawning and stretching so much more than he would have been because his body's in a different physical position than it's ever been, because I have released stuck chronic parts of him. I mean, he's so athletic now. He couldn't even really lift his head when I first adopted him, literally physically, not emotionally. I mean, sure, if, sure, if is how we're going to word that right now without putting too much focus on that, because he's been rescued now. Truly, Dante is the rescue. He's the first poodle under In The Image Clothing Company poodles, and the unexpected one by me, the founder of In The Image Clothing Company, Evan Strong. But physically, he couldn't even lift his head up, and now he's ridiculously mobile and athletic. I mean, you don't see dogs curl to the degree that Dante is able to physically curl because he can. And you'll see dogs laying only on one side or the other, And usually that's correlating with the side of their face that you stroke the most often, or the side of their collar that has the most weight on it, if they have an imbalanced collar, or the side of the dog that you have the lead hooked to, a leash hooked to a collar, or a slip lead just by itself. Whatever side of your body you walk your dog on, in this right-handed world, you will almost always be walking your dog on your right side if that's just what you naturally would be doing, meaning instinctively would be just doing as being a right-handed human being. Your dog, even if there's no tension that they really pull on the lead, if they're a really good dog like Dante, he walks on a lead so well, and did the first day that I adopted him. He's just an amazing dog. I don't know how much training he had before he met me, but also just Dante is amazing. And poodles in general, almost every one of them, dogs to a degree are individuals, but that's why we have chosen purebred standard poodles specifically as the dogs we use, the size and the breed specific under In The Image Clothing Company for our dog fourth. In The Image Clothing Company poodles, they're just great dogs in general. Pretty universal across the board of the breed of the poodle, as long as we have purebred real poodles and try to do what we can to keep up with the breed standard. Okay, the standards behind the breed, any size of poodle, right? That's the point of breeding properly, is for the health and continuing good bloodlines of dogs through further generations with registering dogs. This is what we do under In The Image Clothing Company poodles, a lot of it, okay? Feeding dogs at head height, having their collars centered, keeping the dog's leads or leashes light, walking your dog on the side of you that will be the best side for the dog to not be deeply ingraining an imbalance, having no discrepancy in weight on the dog's collar, having thin collars of dogs so that they can lay their lower jawbone or the mandible on the surface of what they're laying on without having that collar pressing into their trachea so they can't even breathe naturally without compensation through their entire body. So these are a lot of the things that we do under In The Image Clothing Company poodles, specifically as one of our fourths under In The Image Clothing Company. Today's date is the 2nd of January, 2026. Here's context. We've been saying the same thing since the founding. Before we ever had any products to sell, this is why we'd be selling products, because we know what we're doing and why we would be selling products at all. They'll be good. You can trust that. I don't trust us, actually, but you can see the information we have, and we'll put that into our designs. You don't have to believe that we will, but, right, see, truth is truth. What I'm saying is, don't believe me. The nails of the dog, right? The bottoms of hooves of animals. Even the elephant's feet, right? African elephants, Indian elephants, whatever it is. Lots of animals, it's the case for. The dogs will have naturally a pretty flat bottom to the nails of their toes, because as they're walking, there's just one way only their feet, and all the toes of their feet will evenly displace the weight on the ground, and they'll have a nice, relatively flat, the way I say we need to cut our nails, relatively flat on the tips, you know, but the bottom of their nails will just wear down to be relatively flat, so they have a nice surface to stand on that's stable, like the bottom of the feet of the elephant, like the bottom of the hooves of animals like caribou, reindeer, which are domesticated caribou, horses, mules, you know, similar animals like this. Even, you know, hippopotamus, rhinoceros, zebra, you know, giraffe feet even. A lot of animals, you know, you can see the bottom of their feet are flat. So what we do often as human beings is we cut our dog's nails. And you would never need to cut your dog's nails if they wear down naturally. No animal in nature has nail clippers. But they're on natural surfaces, letting dogs stay natural. On In The Image Clothing Company poodles, take a deep dive, would you? Take a deep dive with me here and listen to my words. I'm the founder of In The Image Clothing Company. This is why. This is what we do. It is needed and universal for eternity. Eternal truths, unchanging information of God. These are not my choices or decisions. That's why it works. Thank you, Jesus Christ. Oh, shoot. You heard that, yes? You saw it? That was my left ear, TMJ area, cartilage in my ear / lower jaw bone, the mandible meeting the skull, right there in front of the ear. That's the same reason why Dante's yawning so much, okay? It's the same reason why we put the importance on the corners of the mouth under In the Image Clothing Company. What I'm saying is, if you Dremel your dog's feet or file them down, or if you just clip your dog's toenails on an angle that's not as close as you can get to the flat surface of the floor they'd be standing on, but we don't want the surface of the floor to be unnaturally flat, like tile, concrete, hardwood. There's just texture to nature. There's just rounding to our hands that comes from our nails being relatively flat on the tips. There's just dexterity to the dog's toes that come from the bottoms of their nails being relatively flat. It's just how it works. It's that dichotomy. It's that opposition that is in all things. The flatness is what brings the dexterity and the rounding. It's just how it works. I don't get to tell you. It's physics. It's mechanics. It's mathematics. It's truth. I didn't decide these things. But if we can have our dogs have to never have their nails be trimmed by us, even though they're domesticated dogs, that means that we're letting them stay fairly natural. That's one indication, because if their nails are just naturally wearing down, well, then there you go. There's that word, naturally wearing down. Okay, man, my jaw, that's amazing. It'll never be the same. It's not the way you pop something that you continuously pop in your body. And the reason you're continuously popping something in your body is something's causing it to be misaligned, first of all. Bones only connect to bones the way they do. They're only shaped how they are. There's only one way the human body could ever work. There's only one centered position to the jaw. But after years of me personally as the founder of In the Image Clothing Company, Evan Strong, in this for life, leading this, being in oversized clothing, imbalances in shoelacing and drawstrings, pant waistlines sitting incorrect, things in my pockets, heels on my shoes, many things like this. Sleeve cuffs on the hands and forearms, pant cuffs on the top of the feet, stretch in clothing, tags in clothing, all of the same things that we discuss under In the Image Clothing Company, shoe tongue tabs. Let's get deep. You want to take a deep dive? Let's take a deep dive. It's the 2nd of January, 2026. My name is Evan Strong, the founder of In the Image Clothing Company. I'm in this for life. I didn't know this is how this was going to go exactly, this episode. As far as, yikes, you hear that crunching if you do? That's my jaw. It's that ear cartilage. It's the TMJ. That joint right in front of the left ear right now. Meaning right now it's on the left side specific. Anyway, the dogs, man, don't round their nails because they won't be as stable. After you Dremel or file or smooth down your dog's nails to be rounded, it has to... Yeah, you have to go the amount of time that it takes your dog's nails to naturally flatten on the tips of, on the bottoms of the nails again, for them to have their natural stability. Naturally, they're flat on the bottom, relatively at least. If you round their nails so they're not as sharp, well, really they're sharp because you cut them. Dogs' nails naturally wear pretty smooth, actually. I know it from personal experience, owning Dante for the past 2.5 weeks. I haven't clipped his nails. And I think that it's a goal. It doesn't matter what I think. Really, in all truth, it's a goal to never have to clip your dog's nails. That means you're allowing them to have their feet work naturally. No animal in nature has clipping of its nails that it does. Unless there's some nails out there that somehow get clipped. I'm just saying most all animals wouldn't, at least, and almost certainly every one of them doesn't clip their nails. Maybe, okay. But they just file down. They wear down naturally. The earth is rough, the surface of it. It's textured, and that's good. It's healthy. Anyway, so these are some things that I've learned about Dante deeper than I knew. Shoot, you hear that? It's not bad. It's just, that's in my ear. It's in my head, in my physical skull, in the jaw meeting the skull. Man, crunching just as I open my mouth. Well, like keeping my lips closed, but opening my jaw wider. Ugh, that's crazy. It's just so weird, man. It's as real as it gets. I couldn't be making this stuff up. That's what I'm saying. Don't believe me. Find the truth. Take a deep dive. That's what I'm doing. I'm in this for life. I mean, you think this is deep. My understandings will only deepen as the founder of In the Image Clothing Company. That's the goal. That's what we're here to do, is get closer to God. And he gets closer to us after we do so. We have to take the first step. Anyway, Dante's behind me back there. Look at him curled up like a dragon. Yeah, I just picture a dragon, dude. I've never personally seen like a real dragon, but there's movies and imagery of dragons just like curling up so tightly, and just wild dogs. They just have so much more motion than most all domesticated dogs because the domesticated dogs are in patterning. That's why, because the way we feed them, the way that we pet them, the way that we place things onto them, the things we place them into in our modern man-made world placed onto God's natural earth. These are the real, true reasons, undisputed. Don't believe it. Take a deep dive, would you? Ah, that crunching. It's just in your ear. I mean, that's where you hear things, that's where your ears are. It's just a hole between the rear of the lower jawbone and the base of the skull back there where the sternocleidomastoid comes and inserts right behind the ear, comes down to the collarbone and the sternum, the clavicle and the sternum. The point is, it'll never be the same, and you'll see it. I mean, if you watch anything after today's date, the 2nd of January, 2026, with me in it, Evan Strong, the founder of In The Image Clothing Company, I'll be able to have a more vertical head positioning, tucking my lower jawbone, the mandible back farther, pinching, essentially, the ear between, that ear cartilage, between the rear of the lower jawbone, or the mandible, and that sternocleidomastoid muscle itself. That's what we're doing is essentially, not in a bad way, but we're pinching the ear cartilage, just the ear structure itself, which is just the hole for us to receive sound waves through, between those two things, the sternocleidomastoid and the rear of the lower jawbone, or the mandible. And the dogs, it's the same thing. Dante's ears were so imbalanced. That's what I mean. His right ear was like forward more. Really, it's because his left ear was farther back. If you're stroking the left side of your dog's face and like coming like up and off their ear, back toward their tail more from their nose backward, stroking from their nose to their tail, if you will, with your right hand, being right-handed in this right-handed world, your dog's ear cartilage will just be misshapen. It's the same thing with our ears, right? The importance of not pulling or pushing on the ears. Dante was in that video as well, on the main side of In The Image Clothing Company. The importance of not pushing or pulling on the ears. It's crazy. Anyway, man, it's ridiculous, bro. What I'm experiencing physically right now, you can hear it. You can hear it. You can hear some of it, I know, because I watched these back, as of this time period at least. That's what I have been doing before I post them public for the entire earth to see for eternity. Truth, bro. That's the truth. I watched them back, and I can hear it, because this has happened in past episodes of In The Image Clothing Company podcast, this release. And each time it does, my head gets more vertical, my spine gets more vertical, the natural bend in the knees, the natural curve in the spine, yeah. A lot of it's coming from the ears, by the way, because what we have done to alter them, intentionally or unintentionally, knowingly or unknowingly, there's only truth to life. Clothing. It's the only fix to human beings' physical problems. It's the only thing placed physically on us. We're doing everything we ever do through our clothing. Okay. Anyway. There's only one way the human body could ever work, brother. No opinion to have. You are damning yourself if you don't accept truth, regardless of who's delivering it. But that's what we do here, to the best of our imperfect ways as human beings under In The Image Clothing Company. I'm the founder. I'm in this for life. I'm in this for life. Dante's in this for life. Shout out to Zero Shoes, the brand. I'm wearing the Ridgeway model boots. They're amazing. Live life feet first. It says it right here on Zero Shoes' box of these Ridgeway boots. I'm looking at it. I shout them out where I do. Good people doing good things, That's what we're aiming to be as In The Image Clothing Company. It's just good people doing good things always, And we are. We are imperfect. Anyway, so Dante, he's a whole different dog. I'm taking a deep dive, man. And I'm going to continue to dive deeper. Like Taya said, Hillsong United's Oceans song. Take me deeper to where my trust is without borders. Somehow Dante and I are going to get we're moving down to St. George. And we kind of got to get out of here. Just for the sake of the situation that's happening in our lives right now. I don't know. That's what I've been praying to God. Jesus the Christ, take me deeper to where my trust is without borders. Let me walk upon the waters in the presence of my Savior. Okay. Hillsong United's Oceans, sung by Taya. Wow, she's sang lead for them for quite some time. She also does her own music. Okay, now. So, there you go, bro. You don't know what you don't know. Dante. Sorry, brother. He's like, what was that squeal? Look how cute he is. I love my dog. My Dante dog. He stretches. Good man, brother. I love you, buddy. It's a Dante dog. Take the screenshot. You good dog, man. You're a good boy. Oh, shoot. Dude, I'm such a kid, man. Still a kid and always, right? So we're commanded by God to be. Otherwise, we can't enter the kingdom of heaven unless we first humble ourselves and be like a little child. That's what dogs do for people. That's a big reason for In the Image Clothing Company poodles, like I've said. Getting us to authenticity. Ha, Dante, you're a good boy. A good boy. Yay. Anyway, there's another yawn by the man himself, Dante. It's a Dante doggy. You're a good boy, man. He loves music, too. I said that before on In the Image Clothing Company content. Anyway, we got to get out of here. We got to get down to St. George. We got to get to the Warmouth. We got to get to the Red Rocks. We got to get down there. We got to set up base camp for life, and we'll do it, huh, bro? Whatever it takes. Seriously, that's what I'm just saying. It's the case, yeah. We're going to get down there, whatever it takes. I just don't know how it's going to happen for sure as of right now. He's yawning again. You know, yeah. Look how beautiful he is. But he can just look. Like, clear around, I don't know if I'll get him to do it here, but Dante, yeah, he's just too smart to, like, try to get him to look somewhere that he knows you're just trying to get him to look, you know, but he can just look all the way around. I mean, he'll be sitting facing the opposite direction of me, and he'll just flip his head all the way over his own shoulder and look back at me, left, too, you know, which is the side that was not able to look because of the scar tissue. That's what I'm saying. You don't see dogs yawning quite as much as him. He's not tired right now. I mean, he's just sleeping through most of this. He's fine. He's got a lot of energy. Naturally, you know, natural energy. But anyway, letting dogs stay natural, you know, it is what it is. That ear too, you know, the ear. You just gotta have even ears on the dogs. You gotta have even jawbone on the dog, both sides. You've got to have the dog able to look left as even as it can look right. You've got to have the dog be able to lift its chin up to the sky, straight vertical, without compensation through their body. Look at that. That's what I'm saying. Now you can see it. Those of you in visual plus audio of In the Image Clothing Company Podcast, episode 199, he wasn't able to do that when I first adopted him 2.5 weeks ago, give or take from today's date, the 2nd of January, 2026. But now he's got so much motion and mobility, and he's healthy. That's what it means to let dogs stay natural, right? That's what we do. I'm the founder. That's what I'm doing. That's what I'm doing as of today's date. Where's your tail, bro? The 2nd of January, 2026. To show congruency. There you go. Well, I mean, we're just saying it regardless, but this is what we can do to show congruency. Huh, buddy? Even something like petting your dog's right side of their face with your right hand because you have to reach across their body to do it, and then petting the dog's left side of their face with your left hand because you have to reach across their body to do it, then the dog will look at you more. You know, you pet your dog and you turn their head as you do it if you're doing it on the same side as the hand that you're using. But if you use the opposite hand on the opposite side of the dog, then they'll look at you because you're pulling them, you know, to looking at you with your hand as you're stroking their face. And that'll keep your dog centered. No, I'm not kidding. I mean, you know I'm not kidding if you've heard the rest of this episode, but it could sound silly. Pet your dog by crossing your arms across their body? Yes, do it for the health of the dog. For the obedience of the dog, the less distracted your dog can be, the more loose and mobile your dog can be naturally is the point. You know, the closer to natural that we can get our dogs, being a domesticated animal in a modern man-made world, the more obedient they'll be. Yeah. The dog just needs to be able to turn as easily both directions. The dog has to stay centered, you know, staying centered, fitting correct, allowing the body to work, you know, being made from 100% natural materials in all the ways we can, human being clothing and dog products under InTheImageClothingCompany.com, right? That's what I'm saying, bro. That's why we do it. I'm not trying to block him, but this is just me sitting. So there you go. You good boy. His eyelashes grew back too. They cut them. That day that I brought him home to foster him for the first week before I adopted him from the South Utah Valley Animal Shelter, he was so matted up, and they cut his hair and they cut his eyelashes really short. So now he has eyelashes again. I don't know if they're at their full length yet, but anyway. Such a pretty boy. You're a pretty boy, dog. You're a pretty boy, Dante, man. You're a pretty doggy. Good boy. It's a good boy. Good boy, man. Good boy. Anyway, take a deep dive with me if you want. If you want your life to change, if you want to change the life of your dog, how to feed your dog, how to keep your dog physically centered, you know, how to not have to give your dog so much water all the time and food all the time, how to limit your dog's barking, how to improve your dog's behavior and obedience. These aren't claims. We've been doing these things since before I adopted my first dog, Dante, under In the Image Clothing Company and All Four Sides. We just discussed these things where we do. All four sides bleed into all four sides of In the Image Clothing Company. Oh, sorry, bro. I hit my knuckles on his nose right there. Anyway, there's only one way the human body could ever work. There's only one way the dog's bodies could ever work. You know, things like grooming and how to be intentional about keeping things clean and snipped, you know. We'll discuss it. I mean, I could say more in here, but he was yawning again right there. I stuck my hand in his mouth a little bit, not even realizing yet he was yawning. You know, keeping the dog's penis clean and their reproductive areas, keeping the hair off the eyelashes of the dogs, again, so they're not distracted. I mean, that'll cause your dog to be less obedient less often if they just can't even open their own eyes or look around without having to try to blink the hair off their eyelashes. Keeping your dog's feet trimmed, you know, keeping around your dog's mouth trimmed so they can actually seal their mouth, the importance of the corners of the mouth with human beings, you know. We've talked about this. I mean, even, you notice my mustache and my facial hair around my mouth, I'll keep it trimmed nice and short so I can close and seal my mouth. Truly, that's what's happening. Same with the dogs, you know, trimming around their mouth to keep it clean. Of hair, you know, keeping their eyes cleaned out, keeping their, little rectum, in all truth, right, clean, shortly cut with the hair. Well, when we talk about dogs with hair versus dogs with fur, at least, you know, that you're cutting their hair, some things you probably want to be doing more often than just your regular routine haircuts. Okay, in the dog's ears, certain things like this. This is me taking a deep dive. This is me giving a lot of context. This is me giving my secrets away. You know, we give our secrets away under In the Image Clothing Company, just meaning we're here to just give information and give truth. We're not here to harbor things that we can be paid for. We're here for a community and a company. Very clearly worded, not a business. We're a company of people, you know. Anyway, Dante's my sheep. He's not a sheepdog, but he's like a sheep dog, you know. Aren't you, buddy? He looks like a sheep, man. So there you go. All right. Thank you.